Chapter 932. Day and Night. Su-Yi would recover from his exhaustion and then continue. As for handsome Su, he couldn't stay idle. He was like a fish in the sea or an eagle in the sky. He couldn't stay idle for even a moment. Swoosh, swoosh. Beams of sword light swept out from Su-Yi's hand. The sword light was as fast as lightning and extremely fast. Not enough. After a while, Su-Yi's figure paused, as if he had understood something. Then, Su-Yi changed the sword sign in his hand, and the sword light in his hand burst out. Waves of sword light swept through the void like a tidal wave, whistling with the wind, and the surrounding energy of heaven and earth seemed to be affected. Crack, 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 crack. Wherever the sword light passed, the cracks in the ground in front of Su-Yi directly split open. Waves of fierce aura spread out like a hurricane. Late at night, the moonlight was in the sky. Su-Yi sat cross-legged. Not far away, a sword was stabbed into the ground upside down. Red light lingered around his body, and his primordial chi fluctuated like red spiritual snakes, drilling in and out of the surface of his body, continuing to be mysterious. Every time his cultivation was exhausted, Su-Yi would breathe in and out to recover. In this way, he had been on the back mountain for a full 3 days and 3 nights. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Unknowingly, the energy of heaven and earth fluctuated above the back mountain, and rich energy of heaven and earth gathered towards Su-Yi. Above Su-Yi's body, primordial chi lingered, and along with the energy of heaven and earth, it directly entered his body. Then at the same time, the aura of his body gradually rose. The speed of the rise seemed slow, but it didn't take long before it reached a peak, and there was a brief pause. Whoosh, whoosh. The energy of heaven and earth around him became more and more intense, and it kept gathering around Su-Yi, flashing and fluctuating with red light. Swoosh, swoosh. 2 figures appeared quietly in the back mountain as if they had broken through the air. They were the Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the dead. Both of them felt the movement in the back mountain and immediately came over. When they saw the figure in the red light, they were secretly surprised. Rumble, not long after, a thunderous sound came from Su-Yi's great void divine sea. At the same time, the stagnant aura in his body shot up like a rocket and broke through an invisible barrier in one go. Boom! At the same time, the surrounding energy of heaven and earth whistled like a gale. Scarlet light shot into the sky and formed an energy vortex above his head, continuously pouring into his body. Awoo! At this moment, countless barbaric beasts in the surrounding mountains roared and crawled towards this place. What a powerful aura! The Yin-Yang Emperor of the dead trembled in his heart. His master's aura was only at the Yuanjin stage, but his aura was so terrifying. You will only understand Master's strength in the future. The Green Emperor cast a sideways glance at the Yin-Yang Hellish Emperor. The Yin-Yang Hellish Emperor didn't know how powerful his master was. The aura of Su-Yi's breakthrough gradually subsided until dawn. The surrounding energy of heaven and earth dissipated, and everything returned to normal. Su-Yi's closed eyes trembled, and then he opened his eyes. The red light in his eyes didn't dissipate for a long time. A domineering and destructive pressure swept out from his body, causing his robe to flutter in the wind. When the conditions are right, success comes naturally. I have broken through another level. Su-Yi smiled. This breakthrough came naturally. He felt that everything in his body, including his primordial chi and soul, had improved a lot. His combat strength had also reached a new level. Congratulations, Master. The Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the dead came forward. When they saw Su-Yi's breakthrough, they were delighted. It's just a small breakthrough. Su-Yi got up and put the sword beside him into the space bag. Although he was happy, Su-Yi knew that he was far from enough. Everything at the Feng clan's place has been cleaned up. The people of the Feng clan have also driven away. I guess they won't dare to come back, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the dead said. Okay. Su-Yi nodded. But we made such a big commotion and drove away the people of the Feng clan, which attracted the attention of some human forces nearby. They thought that we were going to deal with them, so there might be some trouble, the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead said. Try to avoid them. Call all the savage beasts back. Su-Yi pondered for a moment. There were many forces nearby. Although the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead had just broken through again, and there were the Green Emperor and his brother Merciless West, he wasn't afraid of ordinary forces. But he had just arrived in the Chaos region. If there was no need to, it was not the time to cause trouble. Understood. The Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead nodded and then left. Where are handsome Su and Langbat? Su-Yi asked the Green Emperor. He had been in the back mountain for 5 days and 6 nights, but he hadn't seen handsome Su and Langbat. He was worried that handsome Su would cause trouble. They haven't come back yet, the Green Emperor said. Hearing this, Su-Yi was a little worried. He frowned slightly. He wasn't worried about the wolf-headed demonic bat, but handsome Su was a troublemaker. Do you want me to go and look for them? The Green Emperor asked when he saw Su-Yi frowning. Okay, go and look for them. Su-Yi nodded. Although he knew that he should let handsome Su train himself, they were in the Chaos region after all. He couldn't let handsome Su get into trouble. I'll go now, the Green Emperor replied and left. Seeing the Green Emperor's figure disappear, Su-Yi wasn't too worried about handsome Su. He was connected to handsome Su's soul. If anything happened to handsome Su, he would know immediately. But in less than 2 hours, Su-Yi saw the wolf-headed demonic bat rushing back. Did handsome Su get into trouble? Su-Yi's first reaction was to worry that handsome Su had gotten into trouble. The wolf-headed demonic bat shook its head and immediately reported to Su-Yi. It turned out that little handsome Su had not caused any trouble. Instead, little handsome Su had found a place where great treasures were buried. However, there seemed to be many experts of the demon clan nearby, as well as many experts of the human clan. Handsome Su knew that it would be difficult for him to deal with it, so he kept an eye on it and asked the wolf-headed demonic bat to report back. How far is it from here? Su-Yi asked. It took me a day and a night to get back, the wolf-headed demonic bat replied. It was helpless. If handsome Su wanted to go anywhere, it couldn't stop him. Before it knew it, handsome Su had run far away. It took it a day and a night to get back. It was very tired. Now we're in trouble. Su-Yi frowned. He wasn't worried that the treasure would be stolen. Since there were many experts there, Su-Yi was definitely in danger. The Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead had just left. Huang Jian and the Golden Lion Vulture were still in the mysterious space. The other demon illusionary realm experts were also outside. Let's go. Chapter 9:33. Fearing that little handsome Su would be in trouble, Su-Yi ordered the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon to travel at full speed according to the directions given by the wolf-head demonic bat. However, the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon's cultivation base was lower than the wolf-head demonic bat. Although its speed was faster than the wolf-head demonic bat, it was still under the same cultivation base. Therefore, the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon's speed was delayed by a lot. Su-Yi did not dare to stop. The Green Emperor and the Yin-Yang Emperor of the Dead were not around. The demonic illusionary realm barbarian beasts had also not returned. The Golden Lion Griffin and the rest were also refining the spiritual liquid in the mysterious space. Su-Yi could not do anything about it. The mountain range was endless, with all kinds of terrains. After 20 hours, it was almost a day and a night. A vast primitive forest stretched across the land, as if it was going to cut off the heaven and earth. In the dusky night before dawn, it looked even more hazy and magnificent. It's right in front. Su-Yi looked ahead. In the dark night, the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon emitted a golden radiance. According to the wolf-head demonic bat, this place was not far away. Let's stop here. Su-Yi ordered the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon to land. After a day and a night, the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon was already panting heavily. It had exhausted all its energy and could not hold on for much longer. Su-Yi jumped down from the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon and found a secluded place. He used his soul power to scan the surroundings and allowed the Xianyang Golden Demonic Falcon to enter the mysterious space to recover. At the same time, he checked on Huang Jian, the Golden Lion Griffin, the Scarlet Wind Black-Eyed Demonic Monkey, and the rest. They were still benefiting from the mysterious space. Huang Jian was in the midst of a breakthrough. His aura was gradually rising. He did not know when he would be able to break through. Very few people had set foot in the vast forest. The ancient trees and strange trees were so tall that they reached the clouds. It was unimaginably huge. Some of the tree trunks and branches had aerial roots that pierced into the ground from midair. They gradually thickened and became the pillars that supported the canopy. They were strong and twisted, crisscrossing like dragons. There are barbaric demon beasts, and there are quite a few of them. After entering the primeval forest, Su Yi immediately sensed that there were many savage beasts in the primeval forest. Many of them were probably experts from the demon clan. The wolf-headed demonic bat had mentioned this before, so Su Yi was not surprised. This was the Chaos region, and there were many experts from the demon race in this mountain range. There were even more ordinary barbaric demonic beasts. Su Yi didn't dare to be careless. A primeval forest like this was a paradise for barbaric demon beasts. There could be all sorts of strange and dangerous barbaric demon beasts lurking everywhere. Oh, the roars of beasts could be heard coming from the depths of the primeval forest. Su Yi shuttled through the primeval forest. The sky gradually brightened. On the towering trees, there were many black ants. Each ant was the size of an adult. Su Yi raised his eyes and was a little surprised. These were not ordinary ants. They were a type of terrifying, barbaric, demonic beast. Furthermore, their bloodline was not weak. Any one of them could fight against a barbaric demonic beast of the same level. What was truly terrifying was that these ants usually appeared in a nest. There were at least a few thousand of them, and at most tens of thousands of them. He circulated the Origin Supreme technique and released a kind of pressure. The ants seemed to have sensed something. They trembled on the towering trees and didn't dare to move. Su Yi passed by and was anxious to find Handsome Su. He didn't want to waste any time. The Origin Supreme technique on him was the nemesis of barbaric demonic beasts. With his current cultivation, Su Yi was confident that if he released the Origin Supreme technique's aura, barbaric demonic beasts below the demonic illusory realm wouldn't dare to disturb him. However, Su Yi didn't let his guard down. This was a vast primeval forest. From the traces along the way, it seemed that many experts from the demon clan had appeared here recently. In this primeval forest, Su Yi wasn't searching blindly. He had a spiritual connection with Handsome Su in his mind. As long as he was in a certain area, he could determine Handsome Su's exact location. But now, Su Yi's cultivation wasn't high enough. Therefore, he could only determine Handsome Su's approximate location. However, knowing that Handsome Su was safe and his approximate location was enough for Su Yi. In the forest, under the damp ground, there was often mud and rotten wood. Clusters of vines and messy creeping plants intertwined into thorns, making it difficult to walk. Su Yi hurried along. He executed the Origin Supreme technique and leaped through the primeval forest. Although he wasn't flying, his speed was still extremely fast. The deeper he went, the more barbaric demonic beasts there were. Su Yi even sensed the traces of demonic illusory, realm barbaric demonic beasts. However, he didn't see them with his own eyes. He only sensed the traces left behind by demonic illusory, realm barbaric demonic beasts. Along the way, the barbaric demonic beasts seemed to be heading in the same direction. Along the way, there were barbaric demonic beasts killing each other. Blood flowed like water, and there were many barbaric demonic beast corpses. The corpses of barbaric demonic beasts were all treasures. With Su Yi's personality, he wouldn't miss out on such a chance. The mysterious space was vast and could store countless things. He didn't have to be afraid of taking up space like others. However, along the way, he saw many barbaric demonic beast corpses. There were even human corpses. Su Yi was even more worried about Handsome Su. Therefore, even though the barbaric demonic beast corpses were valuable, Su Yi didn't waste any time. Something must have happened here. It seems like it has attracted a lot of people. Su Yi muttered in his heart. The deeper he went, the more he didn't dare to be careless. Many changes had occurred in the primeval forest. There were traces of demon clan experts, as well as traces of human experts. This proved that something big must have happened here. Sui guessed that it was still early for this place to be discovered. The more time passed, the more experts would be alerted and come here. Sui was well aware of Little Handsome Sue's capabilities. Little Handsome Sue's discovery of treasures and everything he had seen along the way had already proven that there were treasures in this place. It was almost certain that there were treasures here. Someone's here. Sui stopped. He felt that someone was staring at him. Although he was in a hurry, he didn't let his guard down. I thought it was a barbaric demonic beast. So it's a human. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. 6 silhouettes landed on a few towering trees in front of them. They were all young men. They were all around 27 or 28 years old. The oldest one was close to 30 years old. He had the strongest aura too. He was at level 5 Yuan Jin realm. As for the other 5, the strongest one was at level 3 Yuan Jin realm. However, all 5 of them had reached Yuan Jin realm. Sui looked at the 6 of them and raised his eyebrows. Chapter 9:34. What's the matter? Sui was a little displeased when he saw the 6 people blocking his way. He was worried about Little Handsome Sui and didn't want to be blocked by others. Oh kid, you still have a temper. Kneel down and kowtow to us. Call us grandpa and get lost. Otherwise die. Looking at Sui's appearance and the sword on his back and his young age, the 6 of them did not even want to look at him. However, Sui's displeasure was a provocation to them. If it were not for the mission, they would not have minded teaching this kid a lesson. I have something to do. I don't care who you are, but you better not block my way. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Sui said in a deep voice. He did not want to waste any more time and directly stepped forward, wanting to jump over the 6 of them. Kid, you're courting death. Being ignored by a kid, one of the 6 young men could not stand it anymore. Looking at Sui, who was striding towards them, Yuan Qi flowed under his feet like a whirlpool. Suddenly, his body leaped out like a predator and punched towards Sui's head. The young man's fist was covered with fire elemental Yuan Qi, and his aura was scorching hot. At the age of 27 or 28, he was already at Yuan Jin Stage 2. His talent was definitely not bad, and it was enough to prove that he was an elite disciple of a powerful sect. However, this person was unlucky to meet Sui, and it was Sui who did not want to waste any time. With a shake of his arm, Sui didn't even raise his eyebrows as he met the attack with a punch. Bang! A dull sound could be heard, and the ground trembled as dead branches and leaves danced in the air. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the blazing aura in front of the young man's fist directly dissipated. Then, a faint kacha sound came from his fist. Following that, it cracked and turned into a bloody mist that spread all the way to his shoulder. Everything was like a hot knife through butter. Bang! The young man's body was sent flying and crashed into a towering tree. His body was embedded in the trunk, and he was already dead. Blood was gushing out his broken arm. Sui's footsteps didn't stop. He directly stepped over the remaining 5 people and left. There were only a few Yuan Jin stage cultivators left, and Sui didn't have the time to deal with them. The more abnormal this place was, the more worried Sui was about Handsome Sui. After a few breaths, the remaining 5 people finally returned to their senses. Numerous gazes looked at the back of the young man, as if something was stuck in their throats, causing their breathing to become slightly irregular, and their bodies couldn't help but become slightly limp. Too strong. The 30-year-old youth at the 5th level of Yuan Jin stage was even more shocked. He knew very well that even if he wanted to kill his companion at the 2nd level of Yuan Jin stage, he would not be able to do so even if he used all his strength. However, the young man had killed his companion with ease. Without a doubt, there was only one possibility, and that was that this young man's strength had surpassed his own. I've misjudged him. This kid isn't ordinary. Looking at the back of the strange young man with a sword and saber on his back, the few of them realized that they had misjudged him. What kind of place was this? They had to rely on the powerful savage beasts in the sect to be able to set foot here, and yet this young man was here. It was obvious that they had misjudged him. Roar! A beast's roar was as loud as thunder, shaking the forest. A ferocious beast that was more than 20 feet tall and several feet long, with 4 hooves that caused the ground to tremble, appeared. It was holding a large python in its mouth, and there were traces of blood flowing out from its mouth. The blood did not come from the ferocious beast, but from the python. At this moment, there was an extraordinary young man sitting on the back of the ferocious beast. He was about 25 or 26 years old, and he was dressed in brocade clothes. He wasn't too handsome, but he looked extremely clean. Coupled with his extraordinary aura, no one dared to underestimate him. However, the corners of this young man's eyes were slightly slanted, revealing an unruly aura that made people feel uncomfortable. "Young Master Wong, you've come at the right time. One of our people was killed." When they saw this young man who was even younger than them, the 5 youths' eyes lit up with joy. They immediately went up to him, like birds that had just seen their master. "What's going on?" The young man on the ferocious beast glanced around and saw the corpse that was embedded in the tree trunk. His face instantly darkened. Rumble, he was traveling at a fast speed, but this place affected his speed. Not long after he killed the young man, a rumbling sound came from behind him, causing the ground to tremble. Feeling the movement behind him, he stopped and turned around. The ground was trembling, and in the midst of the rumbling sound, the towering trees swayed, and the shrubs and vines collapsed. A gigantic, ferocious beast appeared. The ferocious beast was like a wolf or a tiger. Its entire body was covered in green light, and its fangs were sharp. There was a tiger-like mark on its forehead, giving it a domineering aura. This was a king blood wolf tiger beast. He recognized it. Its bloodline was not bad, and this king blood wolf tiger beast had already reached level 3 of the demon truth realm. Suyi's gaze fell on a young man in luxurious clothes on the back of the king blood wolf tiger beast. This young man's aura was not ordinary. Judging from the aura rippling from his body, Suyi's sharp soul force could sense that he was already at level 7 of the Yuan truth realm. This kind of talent was really rare. Therefore, Suyi was secretly moved. Although this young man did not look young, he was only 26 or 27 years old and had a cultivation base at the 7th level of Yuan Jin realm. Compared to the younger generation of the Divine Sword sect, he was definitely at the upper echelons. Looking at this young man, he had a new view of the Chaos region. It seemed like the reason why the 6 continents, 3 continents, and 1 sea did not touch the Chaos region had a lot to do with the environment of the Chaos region. However, it also had a lot to do with the forces in the Chaos region. Judging from this young man's cultivation, the forces in the Chaos region must have a lot of talented people. There must be a lot of talented people in the Chaos region who should not be underestimated. After a long time, the Chaos region had accumulated countless experts. Swoosh, swoosh. While Suyi was sizing up the king blood wolf tiger beast, 5 young men quickly flew over and stood beside the king blood wolf tiger beast. The 5 of them looked at Suyi with fear lingering in their hearts. However, this young man seemed to have an absolute backing, which suppressed the fear in their hearts. The leading young man, who was at level 5 of the Yuan Truth Realm, immediately pointed at Suyi and said to the young man in luxurious clothes, "Young Master Wong, it was that brat who killed our men. It was that brat who killed our men. You killed our men. Brat, how do you want to die?" The young man, who was called Young Master Wong, sat on the back of the king blood wolf tiger beast and looked at Suyi indifferently. E*B*0. Chapter 935. I don't care which sect you are from. Don't mess with me, or you'll die. Suyi said coldly. He turned around and continued to leave. He could feel that little handsome Su's aura was getting closer and closer. Although he was not afraid of these people, it would take some time to deal with them. And now, Suyi did not want to waste any more time. The moment he saw Suyi turn around, the young man called Young Master Wong's face was extremely gloomy. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and at the same time, he stomped on the ground. The blood wolf tiger beast's eyes were filled with killing intent. Roar! The blood wolf tiger beast roared. Its huge body stood upright, and the bloody light on its body soared into the sky. Its huge body directly pounced on Su-Yi and Su-Yi's back. Under the huge pair of front hooves, there were sharp claws that seemed to be able to tear everything apart. They fell on Su-Yi's back. A fierce aura surged like a hurricane, sweeping in all directions. Sand and stones flew everywhere. The sea of trees rose and fell, and the shrubs were uprooted. The scene was terrifying. At this moment, in young Master Wang's eyes, the young man in front of him was courting death. It was as if he could already see the young man being torn into a bloody mist by the sharp claws of his mount, the blood wolf king tiger beast. Evil beast, you're courting death. When the fierce aura came from behind, Su-Yi turned around and stomped his feet on the ground. His arms shook and his palms blocked the sharp claws. The sharp claws fell on Su-Yi's palms, and the fierce attack was immediately stopped. The sharp claws were enough to tear everything apart, but they could not even leave a mark on Su-Yi's palms. The huge claws and Su-Yi's palms were extremely uncoordinated. However, at this moment, the blood wolf tiger beast seemed to have felt something. The murderous intent in its eyes instantly turned into horror and fear. Swish! There was no turning back. Under several gazes, the huge blood wolf tiger beast's front hooves began to crack and shatter. Starting from its chest, it started to break. Blood flowed out and splattered everywhere. Its ferocious mouth was wide open and it screamed endlessly. Rumble, like a hot knife through butter, the ferocious blood wolf king tiger beast was directly torn into two halves by Su-Yi's hand. Blood splattered everywhere. A blood wolf king tiger beast of the demon true realm was torn into two by his bare hands. How ferocious was that? Young Master Wang was horrified. At the last moment, he jumped off the back of the blood wolf king tiger beast. His brocade robe was stained red with the beast's blood. His eyes were filled with horror. The gazes of those few young men had long been stupefied, and their bodies were stiff. Chila! Su-Yi's figure appeared in front of young Master Wang, like an afterimage in an instant. Brat, you're courting death for killing my mount. Young Master Wang was not a weakling. His LV6 Yuanjin realm cultivation proved that his talent was not simple. He regained his senses in an instant and looked at the figure that appeared in front of him. Without any hesitation, he did not hold back his LV6 Yuanjin realm aura and stretched out his hand to form a green claw. Yuan Qi surged, and the aura was sharp. It carried a kind of dark aura and instantly grabbed towards Su-Yi's head. This was the unique skill of the Green Sanctuary sect and also young Master Wang's killing move. The fact that this young man could use such a terrifying method to kill his mount, the Blood Wolf King Tiger Beast, meant that young Master Wang had misjudged him. Being in the Chaos territory, one could imagine his means. He would not show any mercy. Now that he was attacking with killing intent, how could he show any mercy? Looking at the green claw, Su-Yi did not retreat. Instead, his eyes were filled with killing intent. Since young Master Wang had shown his killing intent, Su-Yi would not show mercy. Not to mention that they were in the Chaos territory. Even if they were in the central region, Su-Yi would not show mercy to anyone who wanted to kill him, let alone in the Chaos territory. His fist met the claw head-on. At this moment, a domineering and destructive aura swept out from Su-Yi's body. Red light surged in his eyes, his black hair danced, and his robes fluttered. Bang! A deep, muffled sound came from the collision between the fist and the claw. Young Master Wang's green claw was stopped and could not move forward. Then, under young Master Wang's horrified gaze, the green light in front of the claw shattered inch by inch. A blood-curdling scream came out from his mouth. Ah! Young Master Wang's scream was accompanied by the sound of the bones in his palm breaking. His body flew backwards, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, young Master Wang finally realized how terrifying the former was. He could clearly feel that the former's cultivation was far inferior to his, but the former's combat strength was so terrifying that he could not even withstand a single blow. The terrifying power of that terrifying punch made him tremble in fear for no reason. The power contained in that punch could easily destroy everything in his body, including his internal organs. Swish! Su Yi's figure was like an afterimage. He appeared directly in front of young Master Wang, who had not even landed on the ground. His fist, which was wrapped in red light, landed directly. When he saw that unbelievably fast figure appear, young Master Wang's pupils shrunk in shock and fear. The aura of death gushed out from the depths of his soul. At this moment, his arrogance completely turned into fear. His mouth was dripping with blood as he shouted, "Brat, if you dare to kill me, my green sanctuary sect, bang!" Before young Master Wang could finish his sentence, a muffled sound was heard from his chest. A huge force poured into his body, and the last thing he felt was the intense pain of everything in his body shattering into pieces. Bang, bang. Young Master Wang's body fell to the ground. It was a bloody mess, especially his chest. It was a bloody hole. He could not be more dead. Sui kept a space bag without leaving a trace. He glanced at the remaining young man who was in a daze. His figure moved like an afterimage. Bang, 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 bang. After a few seconds, a few muffled sounds could be heard. The remaining 5 young men fell into a pool of blood. He squinted his eyes as he looked at the depths of the forest. He did not even look at the corpses behind him. Then, he moved his body and left. Oh, it was rare for brute demon beasts to set foot in the depths of the primeval forest, let alone humans. However, recently, there was a sudden surge of brute demon beasts around 10 days ago. Many brute demon beasts came one after another and gathered at this moment. The number of brute demon beasts increased. Occasionally, there would be the roars of brute demon beasts and the cries of ferocious birds. They seemed to be affected by something and became violent. Oh, woo! There were several demonic auras lingering in various places. Their auras were extremely powerful. Waves of demonic auras gathered from several beast hordes, as though they were waiting for something. At the top of the mountain, ancient trees towered into the sky. Chapter 9:36. There must be a treasure. I didn't expect such a treasure to be buried here. It's unbelievable. Among the several figures on the treetop, an old man in his 50s spoke. His eyes flickered with a fiery light. Xinjian sect, Liuhe sect, 7-Star Sword School, and Gimdeo sect are all here. It seems like they have noticed the commotion here. This is troublesome. An old woman spoke. She seemed to be very old, but there was an aura that made people not dare to approach her. Xinjian sect, Liuhe sect, 7-Star Sword School, and our Green Sanctuary sect are the same. They're doing their final training for the event that will take place 2 months later. They are also nearby with their disciples. They are not far from here. Naturally, we can't hide from them. A middle-aged man in the middle squinted his eyes and looked into the distance. He said, "Our Green Sanctuary sect was the first to notice the commotion. We have already informed the experts in our sect. As long as the experts from our Green Sanctuary sect are the first to arrive, no matter what treasure is buried here, it will definitely fall into our hands." Looking at the commotion, there are so many barbaric demonic beasts and many experts from the demon race. It seems like the treasure buried here is not simple. I've never heard of any treasure being buried here before. The middle-aged man who spoke first was puzzled. However, the passion in his eyes did not diminish. With such a huge commotion here, it was not difficult to tell from the gathering of the beast horde that the treasure buried here was definitely not ordinary. Be careful. There are many experts from the demon clan here. Before the experts from our sect arrive, we must not provoke them. The middle-aged leader furrowed his brows. Although he knew that there were treasures buried here, he did not dare to act rashly. There were too many brute demonic beasts here and many demon clan experts. If there was a demon emperor realm expert, they would not be able to touch him. He shuttled through the primeval forest. Along the way, he encountered more and more savage beasts roaring. There are more and more. He became more careful. He secretly activated the Origin Supreme skill so that he did not have to worry about being blocked by savage beasts. The invisible connection between Yi and Handsome Su became clearer and clearer. He felt that Handsome Su was not far away. In front of them, the towering trees gradually thinned out, and the rocks on the ground began to show a reddish-brown color. Many beast hordes gathered, densely packed, entrenched along the way. With so many savage beasts gathered together, their ferocious auras were extremely intimidating. Many of them were even demon true realm savage beasts. Handsome Su is not far ahead. When Sui appeared, he felt his scalp go numb as he looked at the increasing number of demonic beasts around him. If Sui hadn't sensed that Handsome Su wasn't far away, he wouldn't have wanted to pass through here. With so many savage beasts around, if something were to happen and the Origin Supreme technique was unable to suppress them, the consequences would be dire. Oh, sensing Sui's aura, the savage beasts on both sides of the road revealed fear in their eyes. They gradually retreated, not daring to get close to him. How dare a human trespass? You're courting death. A deep roar rushed out like a gust of wind. Suddenly, a gigantic savage beast appeared in the canyon. Its huge body was over 100 feet long and covered in dense black scales. Its head was like a dragon's and a crocodile's with sharp claws under its abdomen. Its ferocious eyes were like copper bells that emitted a bloody glow. It spoke human language and swung its huge tail. The giant rocks on its back were instantly turned into dust. Armored rock dragon crocodile. Sui was a little surprised when he saw such a ferocious beast. It was actually an armored rock dragon crocodile at the first level demon void stage. It was rumored that the armored rock dragon crocodile had the bloodline of a dragon. The so-called bloodline of a dragon was merely the bloodline of a WYRM. If it had the bloodline of a real dragon, it would be extraordinary. Demonic aura. Looking at Sui and sensing the aura on Sui, the armored rock dragon crocodile's eyes were filled with astonishment. There was a sudden surge of fear in its heart. If this was a member of the demon clan, then the demon clan in human form would be at the demon monarch stage. Get lost. Sui's expression remained unchanged. From his body, the Origin Supreme technique suddenly surged out. A domineering and destructive pressure swept out. The surrounding beasts trembled, crawling and roaring endlessly. What a strong pressure. The armored rock dragon crocodile's eyes changed drastically. The pressure made his heart tremble and his beast soul tremble. He could not help but tremble with fear in his eyes. Seeing this, Sui's figure swept out. He took his time and directly swept into the canyon, stepping over the armored rock dragon crocodile's side. No, you're a human. The aura on your body is strange. You're pretending to be mysterious. Suddenly, the armored rock dragon crocodile's eyes that were filled with fear suddenly regained its bloody glow and its expression changed drastically. It sensed the abnormality. Black light surged on its body, but its huge body was extremely agile. In an instant, its body turned directly. Its ferocious bloody mouth directly swallowed Sui. Sui's expression also changed immediately. He had been very careful. For some reason, the aura of the Origin Supreme technique actually showed some flaws in front of the armored rock dragon crocodile. Suddenly, the red light under his feet burst out, and his body suddenly rushed forward like lightning. The armored rock dragon crocodile's bloody mouth tore and swallowed Sui directly. However, there was no blood spurting out. Instead, dust flew around, sand and stones flew, and the ground cracked. The armored rock dragon crocodile's ferocious eyes changed drastically. It seemed to be very surprised that the former actually escaped directly in front of its mouth. Its huge body hung upside down at this moment, and its huge tail glowed like iron armor as it furiously swept out. There was no doubt about Sui's speed. The skyward 100 transformation steps was his advantage, but this armored rock dragon crocodile's cultivation was at the first level of the demon void stage. It was a genuine demon void stage martial artist. As if it had sensed Sui's position, its huge tail swept out and directly reversed from the front, thrusting furiously at him. Facing a genuine demon void stage armored rock dragon crocodile, Sui's expression was solemn. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and the saber on his back was already tightly gripped in his hand. Vitality suddenly poured in, and a red light rushed into the sky. It was as if the saber was covered in a layer of red light, as if there was lava flowing on the tip of the saber. Without any delay, Su-yi directly slashed out with his saber. A violent and ferocious aura suddenly appeared. The saber was like a ferocious tiger, and its momentum was like a violent dragon. OM. In an instant, the saber in Su-yi's hand seemed to be dragging a long red thunderbolt as it shot out explosively. The sonorous sound of wind and thunder resounded out like a dragon's roar and a tiger's roar. It was accompanied by a majestic aura that was like 10,000 beasts galloping, and it suddenly erupted. The saber light collided with a huge tail that furiously swept over. Instantly, the sound of metal clashing resounded, and sparks flew everywhere. Shallow cracks appeared on the armored rock dragon crocodile's extremely hard scales, and faint traces of blood flowed out. Bang! Look at the CG version of K. Chapter L on 0. Chapter 9:37. Su-yi's body fell to the ground. The moment he landed, he slapped the ground with one hand, and his body leaped up. The blood in his body was in turmoil, and his face was pale. On the other hand, there were faint traces of blood on the giant tail of the armored rock dragon crocodile. It was extremely tough, and its defensive scales were hard to be penetrated by people of the same cultivation level. At this moment, it was injured, although it was only a minor injury. You are indeed a human, and you are only in the Yuanjun realm. The instantaneous attack also confirmed the rock armor dragon crocodile's judgment. The young man in front of it was indeed just a human and not a demon lord. However, it was even more shocked. A young human with Yuanjun realm cultivation base was already extraordinary. Most importantly, he was actually able to make it suffer a hidden loss. Roar! In the roar, the armored rock dragon crocodile did not delay. With anger, its huge body leaped out again. The aura on its body burst out, causing dust to fly. It was like a sandstorm, rolling up huge rocks and towering trees as it charged toward Su-yi. Su-yi's eyes were solemn. This was a real demon void realm brute demon beast. The aura of the Origin Supreme technique did not seem to suppress the opponent, but there was no way out now. Boom! From Su-yi's body, the Origin Supreme technique was activated. Looking at the terrifying attack coming towards him, his eyes were covered with red light, like red lightning flashing. In an instant, his black hair and robe fluttered behind him. A vast and majestic aura of destruction surged out. An aura that could not be challenged also swept out from Su-yi's body. It was domineering and majestic. His eyes were like lightning flashing. As he stared at the armored rock dragon crocodile, a thunder-like trembling sound spread out from Su-yi's hands. Buzz! A golden bow appeared in Su-yi's hands. The light fluctuated and the sound of wind and thunder resounded. 9 golden light pillars moved together like lightning. Those were a few golden arrows. They vibrated together and were placed on the bowstring. Swish, 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 swish. Su-yi drew his bow and released it. His hair danced wildly, and his chi of vitality was not held back at all. The great void divine sea set off turbulent waves. 9 arrows were shot at the same time, and like lightning, they shot toward the rock armor dragon crocodile. The former was a true demon illusionary realm expert. Su-yi knew that he had to go all out. With his true strength, there was no way he could deal with him. At this moment, the armored rock dragon crocodile that carried the storm seemed to have sensed something. Its ferocious eyes trembled as fear gushed out. The 9 arrows shot out in unison, destroying the storm. The 9 arrows were connected in a strange way. The 9 golden lights were like lightning, bringing with them 9 vast and mighty auras. Soon after, they condensed into one arrow. In an instant, golden light filled the sky, and a blazing aura surged into the sky. The surrounding space seemed as if it was about to condense into flames, and the phantom of a golden beast dashed out. It was like a lion and a tiger, domineering and fierce, and its aura was ferocious and shocking to the soul. Roar! The phantom of the strange beast, which was like a lion and a tiger, dashed forward. Its mighty aura made the rock armor dragon crocodile's ferocious eyes even more shocked. The roar of a lion and a tiger could be heard. The phantom of a lion and a tiger landed on the shoulder of the rock armor dragon crocodile and turned into a golden arrow. It pierced through the unshakable scales, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Roar! The rock armor dragon crocodile roared and wailed in pain. Its huge body fell to the ground. Whoosh! After stuffing an elixir into his mouth, Su Yi's figure was like lightning. It was as if he was dragging a series of afterimages, and he immediately escaped. Even with the golden scale, blazing sky bow, Su Yi knew that it was impossible to kill a demon illusionary realm rock-armored dragon crocodile. He still had to rely on the influence of the Origin Supreme technique to be able to injure it severely. If the battle continued, it might attract more powerful brute beasts. This area was originally a paradise for brute beasts. Roar! The rock armor dragon crocodile roared angrily. The sharp arrow on its shoulder turned into a stream of light and disappeared. However, the wound was getting bigger and bigger. Blood was gushing out. It was seriously injured. The human's aura was too terrifying. It made its beast soul palpitate uneasily and tremble. This made it very afraid. Human, you can't escape. In a rage, the rock armor dragon crocodile couldn't help but chase after him. That human youth might have a treasure of the demon clan. If it could obtain it, it would be a great opportunity for it. Not good. Seeing that the rock armor dragon crocodile was chasing after him, Su Yi pushed his rising steps to the extreme and went all out. Rumble! The rock armor dragon crocodile at the demon illusionary realm was already able to cross the void. Under the terrifying aura, its huge tail rampaged and destroyed everything in its path. The towering trees were cut in half, the boulders were shattered, and the mountaintops were destroyed. The scene was horrifying. Su Yi plunged into the narrow gap of the canyon, which affected the huge body of the rock armor dragon crocodile quite a bit. The furious rock armor dragon crocodile couldn't hold back its anger. Its shoulder was still bleeding. Its huge tail swept across, shattering countless boulders and rolling down. It wanted to drag Su Yi out of the canyon. Swoosh, swoosh! Su Yi shuttled through the canyon. Fortunately, the terrain here was advantageous to him. However, if he was buried by these boulders, he was afraid that he would be in big trouble. Rumble! The earth shook, the mountains shook, and the canyon shook. Boulders kept falling from behind. The entire canyon seemed to be collapsing. Roar! The rock armor dragon crocodile kept roaring angrily. Its ferocious eyes emitted a bloody light. It seemed that it wouldn't stop until Su Yi was dead. Swoosh! Suddenly, several figures appeared quietly in the air and appeared in front of the rock armor dragon crocodile. There were a total of 4 people. Under the 4 powerful auras, the rock armor dragon crocodile's huge body immediately stopped. Its ferocious eyes stared at the 4 people who appeared in front of it. There were 3 men and 1 woman. All of them had a middle-aged appearance. Their auras were fierce as they stood in the air. All of them had a cultivation of the Origin Void stage. The one in the lead was a middle-aged man who looked to be in his 40s. His gaze stared at the injury on the shoulder of the rock armor dragon crocodile at the first possible moment. He asked with a gloomy voice, "Who were you fighting with earlier? Who was the one who injured you? Why should I tell you? This isn't a place for you humans." The rock armor dragon crocodile said in a deep voice. The demon race was already irreconcilable with humans. These few humans asking about its injury at this moment was undoubtedly equivalent to humiliating it. Its gaze was instantly displeased. However, when it felt the aura of these 4 people for Origin Void Stage martial artists, it couldn't help but be afraid. Oomph! The middle-aged man's gaze sank. There was a golden light fluctuation in his eyes that revealed a fierce and gloomy expression. He directly slapped his palm, towards the rock armor dragon crocodile. Roar. The rock armor dragon crocodile's expression changed. As it roared, a black light erupted from its body and its huge tail swept out. You're only at the first level of the demon void stage. You're courting death. The middle-aged man shouted in a deep voice. A cold light flickered in his eyes. His palm print didn't decrease and directly slapped out. With a muffled bang, a golden light erupted. The rock armor dragon crocodile's huge tail was directly blasted away. Its huge body also smashed into the canyon, shattering the rock walls. Cracks appeared and huge rocks rolled down. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Chapter 9:38. Senior brother, it's indeed the aura of the golden scale blazing sky bow. The middle-aged woman was in her 30s. She looked ordinary, but her figure was curvaceous and had a charm. She checked the injury on the shoulder of the rock armor dragon crocodile at close range and frowned. Her eyes were cold as she spoke to the middle-aged man who attacked in front of her. Tell me, who hurt you just now? If you don't tell me, you'll die. The middle-aged man's eyes were gloomy and sharp as he stared at the rock armor dragon crocodile and asked, It's right in front. It's that brat in front. Under absolute fear and strength, the rock armor dragon crocodile seemed to have lost its temper as it looked in the direction that Sue-E escaped. Following the direction that Sue-E escaped, 4 pairs of eyes immediately looked over. In their line of sight, a figure was escaping from the depths of the canyon. After him, the middle-aged man's face was gloomy as he immediately rushed out. Whoosh, whoosh. The 3 figures immediately followed and ignored the rock armor dragon crocodile. Looking at the 4 figures of the origin void realm, the rock armor dragon crocodile secretly heaved a sigh of relief. It had escaped a disaster, but the anger in its heart did not diminish. It just did not dare to chase after them. The 4 humans were not people that it could deal with. Sue-E ran quickly and felt the aura behind him. It seemed that someone had suddenly stopped the rock armor dragon crocodile. He turned back and saw an expert attacking the rock armor dragon crocodile from afar. He could not help but secretly praise his good luck. However, the origin chi under his feet did not stop at all. He even ran quickly. Whoosh, whoosh. However, not long after, there was a sound of wind breaking behind him. Someone was rushing over. 4 figures immediately arrived and landed in front of Sue-E, blocking him. There were 3 men and 1 woman. For auras of the origin void realm were almost unreserved. 4 pairs of sharp eyes looked directly at Sue-E. 4 origin void realm experts. From their gazes, Sue-E felt that they were enemies and not friends. He immediately focused and frowned. The 4 origin void realm experts seemed to have a stronger cultivation than the rock armor dragon crocodile. Is the golden scale blazing sky bow with you? A middle-aged man in the middle, who seemed to be the leader and had the strongest aura, asked as he looked at Sue-E. No, I don't know anything about the golden scaled blazing sky bow. Sue-E shook his head subconsciously. Suddenly, his heart tightened. He asked the golden blazing heavens bow if these 4 people were from the Gimdeo sect. If he admitted that he had the golden blazing heavens bow, it would be tantamount to admitting that he had killed Yang Chuan, the young master of the Gimdeo sect. Whether or not it's in your hands, we'll know in a while. Behind the leading middle-aged man, a tall and thin middle-aged man with a cold expression pounced on Sue-E and grabbed him. They would know whether this brat had the golden scale, blazing sky bow, or not when they checked. Humph. Sue-Ye's eyes darkened as he secretly gritted his teeth. He looked ahead and grabbed with his hand. In a split second, a wave-like whistling sound was heard. He stretched out his hand, and instantly, a small sea of fire gathered in front of his palm. The aura was scorching and terrifying, burning the air. It was accompanied by an ancient pressure that swept out. This was the ancient crimson seal, which carried an astonishing pressure and scorching aura. In an instant, the surrounding void became scorching hot, and the energy of heaven and earth boiled violently. It directly collided with the middle-aged man's hand. First 0 odd. Sue-Ye's instant attack made those people's expressions change drastically. A brat who was still wet behind the ears was already at the Yuanjin stage. This was enough to shock them. Their young master, Yang Chuan, was much stronger than him, and his battle prowess was even more shocking. Bang! As the two hands collided, the middle-aged man's expression changed drastically. His diving figure even stagnated and was forced to retreat. Swish! Su Yi's body was sent flying. However, at this moment, he leaped up and kept the sword and saber on his back into his interspatial bag as he fled. These people were all Origin Void Stage experts, and most of them were from the Golden Saber sect. Su Yi knew in his heart that other than running, he had no other way out. The broken sword on his back weighed more than a few thousand kilograms in his hands. Only by storing it in his space bag would his chances of escaping be slightly higher. Seeing Su Yi flee, the four people were still in a daze. Especially the skinny middle-aged man who attacked. He was even more dumbfounded. He wanted to capture the brat alive, so he only used a little strength in his attack, afraid that he would accidentally kill the brat. Even when the brat exploded with such a terrifying aura at the end, he only used a little strength. He estimated that even a Yuanjun realm level 6 or a level 7 would not be able to block it. However, the middle-aged man did not expect the brat's combat strength to be so terrifying. That palm contained an aura that made him tremble. If the brat had also reached the Yuanjun realm, which was the same level as him, he would definitely die under that palm. Thinking of this, the skinny middle-aged man could not help but have goosebumps. He could not help but feel his soul throbbing in the depths of his heart. However, the young man, who was at the Yuanjun stage, was completely unscathed by his palm strike. In fact, the young man had even thought of using the momentum to escape from the beginning. This caused the skinny middle-aged man's heart to tremble. Chase, the golden blazing sky, Bao must be with the brat. Soon, the middle-aged man in the lead recovered from his shock and rushed out. Su Yi kept the broken sword on his back into his interspatial bag. At this moment, his speed skyrocketed. However, the Yuanjun realm experts behind him were getting closer and closer. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Gritting his teeth, Su Yi's figure turned back. Golden light filled the sky in front of him, and the sound of wind and thunder resounded. The golden scale, blazing sky bow was fully drawn, and 4 golden lights swept out like lightning towards the 4 Origin Void Realm cultivators who were chasing after him. At this point, Su Yi did not care if he would expose the golden blazing sky bow. Golden blazing sky bow, it's really the golden blazing sky bow. Seeing the 4 golden lights like lightning, the 4 middle-aged men and women's expressions changed greatly. The 4 of them took action and blocked the 4 arrows, but their bodies were also temporarily hindered. Su Yi ran and used the golden blazing sky bow again. It consumed a lot of energy and his face was pale. Where's handsome Su? He seems to be nearby. Su Yi muttered in his heart. He had been chased all this time, but his escape route had always been based on the aura connected to little handsome Su in his mind. He could clearly feel little handsome Su's aura beside him, but he didn't know where he was. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The 4 Yuanjun realm experts behind him were getting closer and closer. When they were less than 300 meters away, Su Yi pulled the bow again and shot 4 arrows at the 4 people. Chapter 9:39. With Su Yi's current strength, the golden scale blazing sky bow was indeed unable to injure the 4 Origin Void Realm experts. However, the 4 of them had to be obstructed. Although it was just a slight obstruction, the effect was not great. Kid, where else can you run to? Someone shouted coldly. The golden scale blazing sky bow was indeed with this young man. Without a doubt, he was closely related to the person who killed the young master. They had to capture this kid no matter what. Capturing this young man was tantamount to finding out the murderer of the young master. Su Yi was already doing his best. The 4 people behind him were getting closer and closer. Su Yi's expression became more and more serious. He knew that it was impossible for him to fight against 4 Origin Void Realm experts. With his current strength, he knew that he could not deal with 1, let alone 4 Origin Void Realm experts. At this moment, the only way Sui could think of was to wake up the Golden Gang Griffin, Red Wind Black-Eyed, Monkey Demon, and Silver Cloud Leopard. However, if he were to awaken the three beasts, the benefits that he was currently receiving would be greatly reduced. Until the very last moment, until it was a matter of life and death, Sui did not want to affect the three beasts. The three beasts would follow him in the future and would be a great help to him. However, when it came to a matter of life and death, there was no other way. As for Huang Jian, no matter what, he could not disturb him. Breaking through to the Origin Emperor realm was not something that could be disturbed. If it was light, he would go berserk. If it was serious, he would directly disperse his cultivation. It would be useless to wake him up. In front, they were about to leave the canyon. In a narrow canyon passage, the cliffs on both sides were straight to the sky. That's the only way. Sui gritted his teeth and looked ahead. Since they were about to leave the canyon, it seemed that he could only summon the three beasts from the mysterious space. Finally, he injected his Yuan Qi and accelerated out of the canyon passage. With a sharp turn, he wanted to summon the three beasts from the mysterious space. "Boss, you're finally here. Come in." Suddenly, just as Sui left the canyon passage and turned, a blazing aura spread out. It was as if the space was real and illusory. At the same time, Su Xiaoshuai's small figure appeared. His eyes were rolling as if he was not surprised. He also felt Su Yi's aura. "Why are you here?" Sui did not hesitate and rushed in. Walala, as Su Yi's figure entered, the illusory space behind him disappeared as if it had vanished into thin air. "Brat, you can't escape. Yuanzhan realm brat. If I let you escape, I'll eat shit." The four Origin Void Realm cultivators chased after him relentlessly, and the distance between them was getting closer and closer. When they were less than 300 feet away, the canyon ahead opened up, and with a sharp turn, their target had already disappeared. However, it was clear to them that it was already impossible for that brat to escape. That's not right. Where's that kid? Where is he? Where did that brat run to? In the blink of an eye, with just a turn, the four Origin Void Stage experts had already instantly chased after him. However, they were shocked to discover that such a big living person had actually instantly disappeared after making a turn. Where'd he go? Four pairs of eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. They searched everywhere, but that living person seemed to have evaporated into thin air. There was no trace of him at all, nor was there any aura. "Quick, look for it. It's impossible for it to disappear. He must have hidden somewhere. Look for him. There's no way he can escape." The four people's expressions changed drastically. This brat must not be lost. This was the person that the entire Gimdeo sect was looking for. No matter what, they could not lose him. At the top of the mountain, ancient trees towered into the sky. Above the sky-covering canopy, several figures stood, and waves of invisible aura fluctuated. The four Golden Saber protectors seemed to be dealing with someone. Among the several figures, an old man in his 50s spoke. His eyes narrowed as he stared into the distance in the east. He recognized the four figures with aura. They were the four Golden Saber protectors of the Gimdeo sect. It seems to be the aura of the Demon Clan. To fight with the Demon Clan here, those four people are really bold, an old woman said. Her seemingly old body was filled with an aura that no one dared to underestimate. There were Demon Clan experts everywhere. It was not wise for the people of the Gimdeo sect to fight with the Demon Clan. I heard that the young master of the Gimdeo sect, Yang Chuan, was killed. Yang Baikuan was furious and is looking everywhere for the murderer of his only son. I'm a little curious. I wonder who did it. That person is really bold. A middle-aged man in the middle squinted his eyes. There was a faint smile and a touch of pride on his face. He said, "I still remember that Yang Chuan fought with Wang Mo. Even though he relied on the foundation and unique skills of the Gimdeo sect, he was still defeated by Wang Mo. The Gimdeo sect has only risen in recent years. In terms of foundation, how can it compare to the foundation of the Green Sanctuary sect? As for Yang Chuan, his talent is just average. I heard that Yang Baikuan paid a great price to increase his talent. This time, he even found a golden scale blazing sky bow for his son. It is said that it is already a middle-grade Taoist instrument, but it is slightly damaged. Even so, I'm afraid that even if he used all his strength, he would still be no match for nephew Wang Mo. The old man in his 50s said to the middle-aged leader with a flattering face. However, what he said was the truth. Although Yang Chuan of the Gimdeo sect was the young master of the Gimdeo sect, in terms of talent and strength, there was a big gap between him and the son of Protector Wang, Wang Mo. Wang Mo's talent is just so. Compared to the young master of the Green Sanctuary sect, he is much worse. However, Yang Chuan is really incomparable. Protector Wang was a little proud. He had always been very satisfied with his son's talent. Among his peers, Wang Mo was definitely not bad. Then, with a look of regret, he said, "It's a pity that the golden scale blazing sky bow was lost. If such a treasure could have been given to Wang Mo, his battle strength would have improved further. Although it is damaged, it is still a middle-grade Taoist instrument. Since Yang Chuan was killed, the golden scale blazing sky bow should have fallen into the hands of others." The old man in his 50s also looked regretful. If the golden scale blazing sky bow, a middle-grade Taoist instrument, fell into his hands, it would still be a big trump card. It was definitely a precious treasure. Then, looking at Protector Wang, the old man in his 50s continued, "In this competition, with young Master Wang's talent and strength, he will definitely be able to perform outstandingly. At that time, if he's taken in by the experts of the Alliance, it won't be a big problem for him to obtain a complete middle-grade Taoist instrument. His future will be limitless. Hopefully, it will depend on Wang Mo's luck." Ha ha. Protector Wang laughed very happily. He had some confidence in his son. With his son's talent and strength, he had recently spent all of his family's wealth to buy a cultivation elixir. It was enough to let Wang Mo advance to a higher level. In this competition, even if Wang Mo could not be a peerless talent, he would at least be in the limelight. Once he was taken in by the experts of the Alliance, his future would really be limitless. Chapter 940. The vast space stretched as far as the eye could see. The surrounding void was blurry, but the space was infinitely large. Light flickered like a galaxy. In a vast and boundless space, the Milky Way rippled, as if stars were appearing one after another. At this moment, a huge golden dragon spanned across the void, its 5 claws forming clouds under its abdomen as if it was tightly grabbing onto the 5 stars. Half of its huge body was submerged in the endless depths of the Milky Way in the void. Its eyes were deep and serene, as if they were the most dazzling stars. Such a scene would make one's soul tremble with a single glance. It would make one feel insignificant from the depths of one's soul. Compared to this, one was just a drop in the ocean. It was a kind of reverence, admiration, fear, and worship that would surge out from the depths of one's soul. After Su-Yi entered the space and saw the scene in front of him, his soul trembled. He couldn't help but feel the urge to worship. Suddenly, the heavenly origin demon soul in Su-Yi's mind fluctuated, resisting the terrifying invisible pressure. Only then did Su-Yi recover from his shock. This is a dragon. This is a real dragon. Looking up at the dragon, Su-Yi intuitively knew that it was a real dragon. It wasn't a flood dragon, horned dragon, or mixed dragon. Its 5 claws formed clouds, and its whole body was shining with golden light. It was a legendary 5-clawed golden dragon. It was a real dragon. Su-Yi clicked his tongue. It was rumored that dragons, phoenixes, and other mythical creatures had long disappeared in the passage of time. They were buried in the ancient times. But Su-Yi's appearance was clearly a phoenix cub. At this moment, a 5-clawed golden dragon appeared. This made Su-Yi's heart beat wildly. A real dragon appeared in front of him. Even if he told others, no one would believe him. "Is this the human boy you were talking about?" Su-Yi trembled. At this moment, the dragon was coiling across the void. It was also sizing up Su-Yi. It spoke in human language, and its voice resounded in the universe. It was sonorous, and it made one's eardrums ring like thunder. Not bad, not bad. This is my boss. My boss is definitely the most powerful human. He can definitely satisfy all of your requirements. You can't go wrong in finding him. Little handsome Sue nodded repeatedly, his little head like a chick pecking at rice. Then, he secretly winked at Sue E. What happened? Sue E had no idea what was going on. He looked at handsome Sue in confusion. To be able to form a contract with your phoenix body, it does seem to be extraordinary. I've waited for so long, but no one has passed. Let's give it a try then. As soon as the five-clawed golden dragon finished speaking, starlight fluctuated in its star-like dragon eyes. The surrounding void also changed, as if the Milky Way was fluctuating. The universe was rotating, releasing endless rays of light. Don't worry, boss. Just your best. This could be a great opportunity. Don't miss it. He was a little dizzy when he heard handsome Sue's voice. Boom. Soon, the scene in front of Sue E changed again. A vast land appeared in front of him. The surroundings were hazy and the void was fluctuating. Human, this is the first test. Although the dragon tribe is not the strongest tribe in the world, the strength of our bodies can be counted on one's fingers. Therefore, the first test is to test your body. This space imprisons all external forces, but it will not imprison your own cultivation and strength. Try your best. This is a test and also an opportunity. If you can pass it, it will be a great benefit for you. Over the past tens of thousands of years, thousands of people have been selected to take the test, and all of them are extremely talented human beings. They are all heavenly grade talents, but only 8 people were able to pass the test in the end. If you can pass, you will be the 9th and the last one. The five-clawed golden dragon's voice reverberated in the void. As soon as it finished speaking, the void was suddenly filled with frost. Senior, what test? Can you explain it more clearly? Sue, he shouted. He had no idea why he was about to take the test. For tens of thousands of years, thousands of people have been tested by the heavenly talents. It was said that the birth of any heavenly talents could cause a vision of heaven and earth. They were destined to be the top of the world and look down on all living things. Plus latest chapter. On stage E#0, however, there were over 1,000 of them, and only 8 of them had succeeded. How terrifying was that? Sue, he was completely flabbergasted and tongue-tied. The five-clawed golden dragon ignored Sue E and did not respond to Sue Yi's words. Soon, the entire void was covered in snow. The ground and mountains were covered in white snow. The rivers and glaciers were covered in ice. The piercing cold air filled the air and spread with a storm. It's so cold. Sue E could not help but shiver. This kind of cold was different from ordinary cold. This kind of cold went straight to the soul. It was as if it could pour into the bone marrow. It froze the vital chi, the 5 viscera and 6 bowels, and the soul. It was too cold. In an instant, Sue E shivered. Sue E narrowed his eyes. At this moment, with handsome Sue's reminder, Sue E guessed that this was some kind of test. If he could pass it, he would receive great benefits. It seemed that he had no choice but to pass this test. Otherwise, he would be frozen to death. Come on. Circulating the Origin Supreme technique, Sue E used his physical strength to resist the cold air. The heavenly origin demon soul in his mind was also dispelling the cold in his soul. As the primordial origin supreme art revolved, the cold chi was immediately dispersed by quite a bit. Whoosh! In front of him on the glacier, there was a flickering light. It seemed that there was an entrance there. Is it there? Sue E raised his eyes. There was a faint red light in his eyes as he stepped forward. There was a huge binding force in this space. Sue E circulated the Origin Supreme technique. Every step he took was as heavy as 1,000 pounds. It was slow and difficult. However, this binding force had not completely crushed Sue E. It was within the range that Sue E could withstand. 1 step, 2 steps, 8 steps, 18 steps. Sue E's steps were slow and difficult. It was extremely strenuous and consumed a lot of energy. Whoosh! A storm swept across, rolling up snow and ice. The entire space became even colder. The snow and ice that covered the sky swept over like a hurricane. The aura was terrifying. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In this hurricane, there were also ice blades that rushed towards Su-yi. The ice blades were sharp, and the aura was bone-chilling. Su-yi could not block them at all. The Yuan-Chi halo around his body was directly destroyed. The ice blades landed on Su-yi's body, shredding his clothes and leaving bloody marks on the surface of his body. The bone-chilling cold aura surged into his body and spread throughout his organs. Luckily, Su-yi's insanely strong physique was able to unleash its full potential. Su-yi's primordial chaos supreme technique resisted the frost chi in his body. Chapter 941. After the bone-piercing coldness, there was a feeling of icy coolness like the coolness that came from a blazing summer. Under this stimulation, the cells in Su-yi's limbs, bones, tendons, and muscles expanded as they absorbed this icy cold aura. There seems to be benefits. Su-yi felt that this icy cold aura was very miraculous. After this bone-piercing icy cold aura entered his body and was resisted, it brought benefits to his limbs, bones, and muscles, and was able to temper his body. When he noticed this benefit, the five-clawed golden dragon also said that this was a test, but also a benefit. Su-yi instantly allowed the dense ice blades to hit his body within a controllable range. Not to mention Su-yi, who is currently at the minor level of the Origin True stage. Even an Origin Void stage cultivator wouldn't dare to deal with this level of ice blades and icy cold aura. These ice blades were probably sufficient to tear the body of a first-level Origin Void stage cultivator into pieces. The icy cold aura within these ice blades was also sufficient to freeze the blood, Origin energy, internal organs, tendons, and muscles of a first-level Origin Void stage cultivator into pieces. However, Su-yi's physical body was freakish to an unimaginable degree. Under Su-yi's Vajra body and various tempering of his body, it allowed his body to exert the abnormal degree that it should have. Forcefully withstanding these terrifying ice blades cutting his body, what he obtained in the end was the benefits. It seemed to be very fast, yet also seemed to be incomparably long. Su-yi walked step by step to the entrance in the middle of the glacier, and the terrifying icy storm and ice blades gradually disappeared. Su-yi didn't hesitate in the slightest. This was a test that he must pass. Swoosh! When Su-yi's figure strode through the entrance that flickered with light, an extremely scorching temperature instantly assaulted his face. Ice and fire were two different worlds. One was bone-piercing cold, and the other was blazing hot. The bone-piercing cold behind him vanished, and what appeared before Su-yi's eyes was a sea of fire that surged into the sky. The blazing high temperature incinerated everything in the air, and nothing remained. The billowing flames were like monstrous waves, sweeping towards Su-yi in an instant, engulfing Su-yi. The terrifying temperature was capable of directly incinerating a first-level Void Origin stage martial artist into ash, and this blazing high temperature was something that even Origin energy was unable to isolate. Ice and fire? The terrifying flames engulfed Su-yi, but he remained indifferent. It was not because the flames and the temperature were not as high as the cold chi. In comparison, this terrifyingly high-temperature flame was even more terrifying than the cold chi. Its aura was even more violent and destructive. However, Su-yi was used to high temperatures and raging flames. The cultivation method of the diamond body was related to raging flames. Even with Su-yi's current cultivation, his skin still burned and his hair stood on end. Strands of raging flames whistled through the air. They were violent and destructive, and they were capable of incinerating all things. They seemed as if they intended to incinerate Su-yi's skin into nothingness. However, the result was not like that. The flames that could burn everything only burned tiny cracks on Su-yi's skin. Within the cracks on Su-yi's body, a crimson light flickered and overflowed, causing the cracks to continue burning and not shattering. His entire body was densely covered in tiny cracks, causing Su-yi to grit his teeth tightly and couldn't help but emit a few muffled groans as his forehead broke out in cold sweat. The blazing temperature within Su-yi's body seemed as if it wanted to incinerate his internal organs, tendons, muscles, limbs, and bones into nothingness and destroy everything. But Su-yi resisted all of this, and it was within his tolerance range. This blazing aura was even more violent and destructive than the cold chi, but compared to the cold chi, Su-yi seemed to be slightly more relaxed at this moment. Under the blazing aura of destruction, Su-yi once again felt the benefits. After the blazing aura was destroyed, it seemed as if it brought along a new energy that drilled into Su-yi's limbs, tendons, muscles, and internal organs. After the destruction, there was rebirth. It was like a new energy that had met with dew after a long drought. The blazing aura of destruction finally gushed out and spread throughout Su-yi's body, nourishing everything, including his soul. Rolling flames, a light appeared in front of him, and it seemed to be an exit. However, Su-yi was not in a hurry to move forward. When he felt the benefits of the blazing aura, he clenched his teeth and revealed a somewhat shocking smile on his face. If I use this kind of flame to temper the diamond body, there will definitely be unexpected benefits, Su-yi muttered. Although the fire of the Earth's core, when he cultivated the diamond body, was terrifying, it was definitely not as terrifying as this flame. Moreover, the raging flames contained great benefits. Su-yi pondered that if he could use this to refine his body of the diamond, it would definitely be able to bring his body of the diamond to another level. Immediately, Su-yi sat down cross-legged and operated the primordial supreme art, directly tempering the diamond body. Voila! As Su-yi's hand seal condensed, the surrounding blazing flames were directly swallowed. Waves of destructive flames directly surged into Su-yi's body. At this moment, his body was densely covered with cracks. Su-yi's skin was like the dry earth after a long drought, and it seemed as if it would collapse in a fine powder at any time. However, if one looked closely, one would discover that under the densely packed fine cracks, there was a red light overflowing, breaking but not shattering. The blazing aura that followed was an absolute benefit. This benefit, in addition to completely nourishing the physical body and soul, was even better under the dual effects of ice and fire. It could even fill Su-yi's body with primordial chi. Wisps of primordial chi constantly surged into Su-yi's great void spirit sea. Under the tempering of the blazing aura, the primordial chi was incomparably pure, directly causing Su-yi's aura to rise continuously. At this moment, Su-yi did not know that somewhere in this mysterious space, a five-clawed golden dragon's dragon eyes, which could see through everything, was unable to calm down an extremely complicated expression of astonishment. He muttered softly, "There are so many test takers, but this is the first one who refuses to leave. This human kid, the aura on his body, seems to be familiar." Voila! In the rolling flames, Su-yi was surrounded by monstrous flames. From afar, it was as if a huge fireball had appeared in the boundless sea of fire. Strictly speaking, Su-yi was not surrounded by monstrous flames, but these flames were completely drawn by Su-yi at this moment to refine the diamond body. Wisps of strange red light diffused and overflowed from Su-yi's body. His entire body was directly enveloped by the green-red light. The light overflowed and overflowed from the pores of his body, shining with a sparkling luster. Chapter 942. Su-yi's aura had already reached the peak of level 2 Yuan Jin stage, and there were faint signs that he was about to step into level 3 Yuan Jin stage. You have passed the first test. Proceed to the second test. The five-clawed golden dragon's voice came from nowhere and landed in Su-yi's ears. At this moment, the five-clawed golden dragon's voice seemed to carry a sense of helplessness and shock. No one knew that this was the first time in tens of thousands of years that the five-clawed golden dragon had refused to leave and treated the test as a tempering ground. As the five-clawed golden dragon's voice faded, the the surrounding flames disappeared. Su-yi opened his eyes and felt that he had not had enough. He could even feel the signs of a breakthrough. If he was given a little more time, he would be able to break through. Fortunately, the diamond body had been tempered once again. The benefits that flowed into his body made Su-yi smile. His physical body had become stronger. The destructive flames contained unimaginable benefits. Walala, light and shadow filled the air. The scene in front of Su-yi changed again. It was like a dream, as if he had traveled through time and space. He can't even cultivate. I didn't expect old Master Su-yun-tian to have such a useless grandson. Damn it. This guy's a scourge. A piece of trash that can't cultivate. He's destined to eat and wait for death. It was like a dream. Su-yi had returned to Man City. He had returned to his youth when he could not cultivate and was called a scourge. He was despised by the Su family. In Man City, everyone despised him. Don't be discouraged. Even if you can't cultivate, Grandpa will take care of you forever. You'll always be Grandpa's good grandson. Only Grandpa Su-yun-tian had always treated Su-yi as a treasure. Su-yi, you lecher. How dare you drug me? I won't let you go. That familiar tender face appeared before Su-yi's eyes. She was devastatingly beautiful, and at such a young age, she already had the potential to be a peerless beauty. Boom! In Su-yi's mind, the heavenly origin demonic soul rippled. A faint crimson light flashed, and an ancient aura filled the air. It's just an illusion. Su-yi's expression was as calm as still water. This was an illusion. At the same time, the scene before Su-yi's eyes changed once more. It was a pool of wine and a forest of flesh, and beauties laid out in all directions. Every single one of them was peerless. Their naked bodies were slightly covered by fine gauze, and they were faintly discernible. Their slender and beautiful legs were either bent, stretched, or bent, and their exquisite curves were alluring and boundless. No man in this world would be able to stop such a scene. Illusion. Su-yi ignored him and waited calmly. However, he could not help but take a few more glances. This kind of scene was not common. There's soul energy. In the void, Su-yi suddenly felt the fluctuation of soul energy. He did not know where it came from, but there was a mysterious energy descending. Strictly speaking, it was more like a type of soul energy. This energy was very subtle, but when it landed on Su-yi's body, it directly entered his mind and soul. It gave Su-yi an indescribable feeling of comfort. He could clearly feel that this energy could benefit his soul. I wonder if I could devour it. This was a type of soul energy, more like a soul fluctuation. Su-yi's expression changed, and a smile appeared on his face. The five-clawed golden dragon had said that this was a test, but also a benefit. Boom! Su-yi's hands formed a seal, and he closed his eyes. Suddenly, the soul energy in his mind fluctuated like ripples. A domineering and majestic aura quietly filled the air. It could suppress ancient times and look down on heaven and earth. This was the heavenly origin demonic soul. Su-yi wanted to try and see if he could absorb this energy to benefit his soul. The heavenly origin demonic soul could absorb all kinds of souls and refine them with the origin supreme art to strengthen and temper his soul. The heavenly origin demonic soul carried the souls of all living beings to strengthen his own soul. Soon, Su-yi, who was sitting cross-legged, was shrouded in a dazzling light. It was as blazing as the sun, and from his body, a divine radiance spread out, emitting waves of fluctuations. It was as if a mysterious energy had crossed through time and space and descended from ancient times. What a powerful soul! How can a human have such a powerful soul? Unbelievable. How can a human soul be comparable to my dragon clans? Somewhere in the space, the five-clawed golden dragon's eyes were filled with shock. This space seemed to be isolated from everything, and time had lost its meaning. After an unknown period of time, the light on Su-yi's body became more and more dazzling, and gradually, there were bursts of thunder. The soul energy in this space merged into his body, and the Origin Supreme art was activated, refining and absorbing it for his own use to strengthen his soul. This kind of strengthening of his soul made Su-yi clearly feel that not only was his soul becoming stronger, but it was also tempering his soul, making the soul in his mind more pure and untainted. Most in new chapter $MB0U, this kind of tempering of the soul was very slow, but it was still continuous. Many soul manipulators found it difficult to improve their soul, let alone this kind of tempering. If those powerful soul manipulators knew that the soul could be tempered in this way, they would definitely break down. They would fight to the death to obtain this benefit, even if it was just a little bit. As long as the soul was a little bit stronger, a little bit purer, then the difference in their future achievements and influence would be like the difference between heaven and earth. And now, Su-yi's soul was constantly being tempered and strengthened. The strengthening of the soul was like water flowing out of a canal, and it led to the rising aura in Su-yi's body. The aura and fluctuations that were originally at the peak of breaking through were also triggered. In his mind, Su-yi's soul was shining, and it was emitting a blazing and dazzling light. The aura on his body was also continuing to rise. Boom! His body trembled slightly, and his robes fluttered. The aura of the third level Yuan Jun stage in Su-yi's body easily stepped into the next level. There was no difficulty, and he did not encounter any obstacles. Just like that, he easily broke through. It had only been 2 or 3 days since Su-yi's last breakthrough. Walala, even after the breakthrough, the aura in Su-yi's body continued to rise. Perhaps because of this strange place, Su-yi felt that the energy of heaven and earth in this space was extremely ancient, and it had an ancient aura. The benefits that he obtained were indescribable, but these benefits were undoubtedly terrifying. The heavenly Yuan demon soul in his mind was also being tempered and strengthened, and the aura on his body continued to rise. Boom! Chapter 943. The speed of his breakthrough was like a cheat code. Roar! In the mysterious space, there was a faint dragon roar that sounded like the rumbling of the heavens. Where did this punk come from? Is he really human? In a certain space that no one could see, a 5-clawed golden dragon was flabbergasted. His eyes were completely filled with shock. A dragon's body might not be the strongest in the world, but their soul strength was definitely one of the pinnacle existences in the world. However, the human punk was just too strange. Su-yi's aura was still rising, but all of a sudden, the heaven and earth energy around him disappeared quietly. Su-yi opened his eyes as scarlet light emanated like flashing scarlet lightning. An aura that was both domineering and destructive fluctuated. His body was brimming with yuan qi like the undulating waters of the ocean. His mind and soul were filled with energy. Looking into his body, Su-yi could clearly sense the changes in his body. Breaking through twice and strengthening his soul was only one of them. More importantly, his body and soul had been tempered once again, making them even more powerful. Ever since he successfully cultivated the diamond body and the heavenly Yuan Fei soul, Su-yi had continuously received benefits from his body and soul. However, even though he had cultivated in the heavenly Fei ancient scripture, his body and soul had the foundation of the diamond body and the heavenly Yuan Fei soul. Any tempering did not seem to have much effect. But this time, Su-yi clearly felt that be it his body or soul, they had clearly improved. They were clearly more powerful. This was enough to prove how amazing the benefits he had received in this place were. The scene in front of him changed in Su-yi's eyes once again. It was no longer an empty space in front of him, but solid ground. Mountains rose and fell as ancient trees towered into the sky. The space was filled with an ancient aura. Roar! A series of dragon roars sounded as they tore through the sky. The mighty firmament caused the entire void to tremble. Roar! 10 behemoths suddenly appeared. Some of their auras were hot, some were cold, some were sharp, some were devouring life, and some were thick and continuous. Instantly, they swept through the void. They were 10 gigantic WIRMs. They were not dragons, but they were true WIRMs. Each of the 10 flood dragons was dozens of feet long. Their bodies emitted a dragon's might that made one's soul tremble for no reason. These 10 flood dragons all had different colors, and their auras were completely different as well. The 2 golden Jiao dragons in the middle glittered with golden light. As for the remaining 8 flood dragons, 2 of them were crimson fire dragons, and their bodies were covered in raging flames. The scales of the 2 green flood dragons opened and closed. Life force filled the air as they devoured life force. The 2 frost flood dragons emitted a bone-chilling aura. The 2 black flood dragons had a heavy and continuous aura. They were like 2 huge mountains in the sky. The 10 real flood dragons are all at the peak of the 4th level of the demon true realm. He was flabbergasted when he saw 10 of these flood dragons appear in the sky. These were not ordinary flood dragons. They emitted an extremely ancient aura. They were all at the peak of the 4th level of the demon true realm. However, the aura they emitted was far superior to ordinary 4th level demon true realm brute demon beasts. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. With his sharp soul power, he estimated that any of these flood dragons would be able to fight against an ordinary 8th level demon true realm brute demon beasts, even if they were only at the peak of the 4th level of the demon true realm brute demon beasts. They might even be stronger. The 10 flood dragons emitted an aura of 5 different attributes. 10 ancient auras swept through the sky. They were ferocious and terrifying. Is this an illusion, or are they real flood dragons? He had just experienced an illusion, but the 10 flood dragons before him made him feel that it was unlikely to be an illusion. However, if this was a real flood dragon, he felt that it was unbelievable. He found it hard to believe. Instinctively, he felt that these 10 flood dragons were from the ancient times. If he could tame these 10 flood dragons, it would be amazing. Once they grew up, how powerful would they be? Roar, he thought to himself. However, the 10 flood dragons had already erupted. The 2 ice flood dragons on the left had already taken the lead, roaring like wind and thunder. Boom! 2 bone-chilling cold auras threatened to freeze the void. The 2 enormous ice flood dragons charged towards Sui. Their breath was gushing out from their nostrils. The aura from their ferocious mouths was vast and mighty, causing the void to be covered in frost. Under the bone-chilling cold aura, he could not help but shiver. If he had not passed the first test, he would have been greatly affected. However, after passing the first test, Suyi's body had been tempered by the bone-chilling cold aura. At this moment, the cold aura made He feel much more relaxed. Is this also a test? He squinted his eyes as the 2 flood dragons charged towards him. The 2 frost dragons were too terrifying. The entire void seemed to be frozen, and they carried a powerful ancient aura. Even the roars from their mouths were like heavenly sounds, resonating with the void. Majestic pressure surged, shaking people's hearts and causing their souls to tremble. He estimated that an ordinary level 4 Yuanjin realm cultivator would not even have the courage to fight against such an aura. However, he was not an ordinary level 4 Yuanjin realm cultivator. If this is a test, then bring it on. If this was a test, then it was a test. It was the test of the 5-clawed golden dragon. He smiled faintly. His heart was filled with the courage to not admit defeat. So what if it was an immemorial flood dragon? He had the supreme origin technique and the heavenly beast ancient scripture. Even an immemorial flood dragon of the same level as him would not be able to deal with him. That also meant that he could not be compared with the true prodigies of the ancient times. Boom! It was a long story, but in an instant, Su Yi's primeval chaos supreme technique surged. Instead of retreating, the aura on his body directly destroyed the frost aura rushing towards him. His arms resonated, and his fists blasted towards the 2 frost dragons that were rushing towards him. Boom! Under the 2 punches, the void rumbled. The two ice flood dragons were forced back. Their ferocious eyes were filled with shock. Ding ding. Sui staggered and took 3 steps back. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Sui knew that he was wrong. The Jiao Dragon's aura at the peak of the 4th level Demon True stage was not comparable to an ordinary 8th level Demon True stage, Brute Demon Beast. Instead, it was comparable to an ordinary 9th level Demon Void stage, Brute Demon Beast. Sui stomped his foot on the ground and stabilized his retreat. He raised his eyebrows. Either of these 2 ice dragons was probably not much weaker than the armored rock dragon crocodile that he had dealt with not long ago. If he had not broken through 2 layers in a row, it would have been really difficult to deal with them. Eolo Eolo. Chapter 944. This time, the 2 frost flood dragons' auras were at their peak. They wanted to restrain Sui. Come on. Sui's eyes darkened as his battle intent surged. He did not use his full power just now. Now that he had broken through 2 levels, it was a good opportunity to test his new strength. He no longer held back his level 4 Yuanjun realm aura, shaking the void. Bang! Bang! With a low muffled sound, Sui punched out twice more, colliding directly with the 2 ice dragons. Under the 2 punches, Sui sent the 2 frost dragons flying, shattering the frost along the way as they spat out blood. Roar! 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 A series of dragon roars could be heard as the remaining 8 frost dragons moved at the same time. 8 different auras with 4 different attributes complemented each other. Amidst the rumbling of the earth and the shaking of the mountains, an endless amount of elemental light was emitted. It was colorful and contained an incomparably terrifying power, enveloping Sui. The 2 frost dragons rose again and joined the battle. 10 frost dragons soared into the sky, crisscrossing and enveloping the void, trying to suppress Sui. Suddenly, the void glowed brightly as demonic aura filled the sky. Boom! From Sui's body, the Origin Supreme technique was activated. Behind him, crimson light shot into the sky, forming a pair of wings made of yuan qi. Under the ascent steps, he soared into the sky amidst the 10 frost dragons. The Origin Supreme technique's aura made the 10 immemorial frost dragons fearful. However, for some reason, they did not stop and continued to suppress Sui. Sui reached out his hand, wanting to summon his golden scale blazing sky bow or saber. However, he realized that there seemed to be a restriction in the space, preventing him from summoning them. He could only rely on his own strength. Boom! Sui's eyes were completely covered in crimson light. His eyes were terrifying as he flapped his yuan qi wings. With a burst of speed, he shuttled through the void like a bolt of lightning. Sui made his move. Wind and thunder erupted, and his attacks were like rainbows. His body was accompanied by the image of wind and clouds surging, and a destructive and overbearing pressure was vast and mighty. It was as if a phenomenon had appeared in the sky. The attributes of the 10 flood dragons complemented each other, but at this moment, Sui relied on the primordial chaos supreme art to sweep through everything and suppress everything. Ow, ow. Bang, bang, bang. Cold laughter rang out endlessly in the air. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Muffled sounds rang out endlessly. Attribute auras overflowed into the heavens. Demonic chi filled the air. Some flood dragons were sent flying while coughing out blood. Their bodies cracked. Sui descended like a bolt of lightning and landed on the back of a flame dragon. His body was covered with a crimson light shield, resonating with the void. He landed a punch on the back of the flame dragon, causing it to explode. This time, the flood dragon didn't spit out blood, nor did a bloody hole appear on its body. Instead, it was directly shattered under the extreme power. However, the shattered flood dragon didn't turn into a mist of blood. Instead, it turned into a fire-attributed rain of light and disappeared into the void. Ow, ow! The other flood dragons didn't stop. They swept across the void and intertwined. Fight! He soared into the air and attacked continuously. The flood dragons attacked together. One of them shook the void, two of them were burning with flames, three of them were like dragons soaring into the sky. The flood dragons of 5 attributes had the power of 5 attributes. Their power was astonishing. More importantly, under the flood dragons of 5 attributes, they could suppress everything. There was also a mysterious force circulating. Overlord Fist, 8 Barren Fury, suppressing mountains and rivers with 1 foot. 8 Barren Fury, Violent Shadow, shatters 9 nether. War Square Root 0 Waisu attacked continuously. The essence chi in his body surged. He fought with the flood dragons in the most brutal way. Crimson light shot into the sky. The domineering destructive aura swept out, drowning the void. The flood dragons could suppress everything, but they couldn't suppress Su Yi's primordial chaos supreme art. Su erupted. His attacks were fully unleashed. His figure rushed into the midst of the flood dragons. It was incomparably terrifying. Ow, ow, ow. The surrounding void trembled and exploded. The flood dragons were constantly vomiting blood, and some of them turned into elemental light rain. At this moment, he was completely using his own strength to fight. Every time he clashed, he was using his true strength. The flood dragons were directly injured and then exploded. The 10 flood dragons exploded around Su one by one, turning into elemental light that drowned the void. It was bright and dazzling like the sun. The last golden flood dragon was suppressed by Su. He punched directly on its head and blasted its head into a rain of light. Everything calmed down. Su withdrew the essence chi wings behind his back and landed on the ground. He was vigilant, his face pale, and his eyes narrowed. The 10 flood dragons were too strong. They were unbelievably strong. If it weren't for Su Yi's consecutive breakthroughs, he wouldn't have been able to deal with them. The 10 flood dragons were clearly real. They were injured and vomiting blood, but in the end, they turned into a rain of light. This made Su unable to calm down. If this was really an illusion, and it was so realistic, then the person who set up this place must be extremely powerful. Could it really be the 5-clawed golden dragon? At this moment, in the void where no one was spying, a 5-clawed golden dragon stared straight. For so many years, no one had been able to pass the test at such a fast speed. More importantly, this was a human. He was supposed to be the weakest human, but he was incomparably abnormal. Human, congratulations. You have successfully passed the 3rd stage and passed the test. Just as Su was in shock, the 5-clawed golden dragon's voice once again entered Su Yi's ears. It was deafening. When a voice entered his ears, the scene in front of Su changed. The light in front of him was hazy. Then, a golden light flickered. In a deep space, the huge 5-clawed golden dragon appeared in front of Su. Under the terrifying might of the Archean dragon, Su used the Origin Supreme technique and trembled. He could only barely resist the invisible influence. However, Su had an intuition that if he became stronger, he wouldn't be affected by the dragon's might with the Origin Supreme technique. The Origin Supreme technique didn't seem to be inferior to the dragon's might. Senior Golden Dragon, what kind of test is this? Su took a deep breath and suppressed the mighty influence of the dragon's might in his body. He had a lot of doubts. He had passed the so-called test, but he didn't know what kind of test it was. There are a total of 3 stages in this test. The first one is to test your physical body. Although the physical body of the Dragon Clan isn't the strongest in this world, it can be counted on one's fingers. The requirements for the physical body are naturally very high. The second stage is a test of the soul. The physical body of the Dragon Clan isn't the strongest in this world, but the soul energy of the Dragon Clan is definitely one of the strongest in this world. Naturally, the soul is extremely important. The 5-clawed golden dragon's voice paused for a moment. The eyes of the 5-clawed golden dragon that were as deep as the stars stared at Su. There seemed to be some unconcealable shock in his eyes as he continued. The 3rd stage is to test your strength. You have passed your true strength. The five-clawed golden dragon's voice sounded calm, but only he knew how shocked he was. A human at the 4th level Yuan Jin stage was able to defeat 10 WIRMS whose combat strength was comparable to the 1st level Yuan Void stage. This was simply monstrous. Chapter 945. Hearing this, Su-yi thought about the 3 tests he had passed. The blazing flame and the cold aura should be the first test of the physical body. The various illusions should be the second test, which also tested the soul. The third test was the 10 ancient Jiao dragons, which tested one's own strength. In that test, one could not use weapons or other external forces. One could only fight with one's own strength. What kind of test is this? Su-yi asked. The 5-clawed golden dragon still did not say what the test was. It used such a large array to let him pass the test. From the words of the 5-clawed golden dragon, Su-yi could infer that there seemed to have been thousands of people who had participated in this test. However, in the end, only 8 people succeeded. He had passed, and seemed to be the 9th person. For so many years, thousands of talented people have participated in the test. 8 people have succeeded. You are the 9th and the last one. The 5-clawed golden dragon's starry eyes looked at Su-yi. His gaze was like a starry waterfall that shrouded Su-yi. His voice was like the sound of heaven, resonating with the void. He said, and all of this test is to choose the messenger of the divine dragon. Messenger of the divine dragon. Su-yi looked puzzled. He had never heard of this before. Yes, the messenger of the divine dragon. Becoming the messenger of the divine dragon will shoulder an incomparably sacred responsibility. The 5-clawed golden dragon said. His dragon eyes were also shining, like the ripples of the galaxy, with stars rotating. What responsibility? Su-yi asked. His heart was in turmoil. There were actually dragons in this world. What a shocking thing this was. With such a large array and the so-called sacred responsibility, Su-yi did not need to think to know that it was not ordinary. In front of him was a dragon, a real dragon, not a Jiao dragon. When you pass the final test and become the messenger of the divine dragon, you will naturally know what the responsibility is. This responsibility is incomparably sacred and no accidents can happen. The 5-clawed golden dragon's expression was a little more dignified. The final test. Su-yi's eyes lit up. There was actually a final test after the 3 tests. Looking at Su-yi, the 5-clawed golden dragon said, in the final test, you will receive 3 drops of my golden dragon blood essence to refine your body, and a wisp of my golden dragon soul to refine your soul. At that time, your talent will reach the top of the world, and it will only be a matter of time before you become the pinnacle of the world below. 3 drops of golden dragon blood essence to refine my body, and a wisp of golden dragon soul to refine my soul. Su-yi's eyes trembled fiercely. Although he didn't know what this represented, the 3 drops of golden dragon essence blood and golden dragon soul were incomparably precious treasures. They came from a true dragon's essence blood and dragon soul. There was probably no other treasure in the world that could compare to them. No, there is a world below. Could it be that there is another world in this world? Su-yi was puzzled. From a 5-clawed golden dragon's words, he heard something that he had never heard of before. 3 drops of golden dragon essence blood and a wisp of golden dragon soul are not easy to fuse with. Although you humans and my dragon clan are extremely close and are the closest existence to my dragon clan apart from my dragon clan, you are after all just a human. You're the weakest among all the living beings. If you want to fuse with the 3 drops of golden dragon essence blood and golden dragon soul of my dragon clan, it will be a test of life and death. After so many years, among the first 8 people who passed the test, only the first person succeeded. The remaining 7 people unfortunately failed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to wait until the final time. The 5-clawed golden dragon sighed slightly. Even if the humans who passed the test had unparalleled talent, and any one of them was a top figure among the human race, it was still as difficult as ascending to the heavens to fuse with the 3 drops of golden dragon essence blood and golden dragon soul. What will happen if the fusion fails? Sui asked, from the expression of the five-clawed golden dragon. He guessed that if the fusion failed, there would be unimaginable consequences. Otherwise, the five-clawed golden dragon would not be so regretful. If the fusion fails, the golden dragon essence blood will destroy the physical body, and the golden dragon soul will shatter the soul. In the end, both the body and the soul will be destroyed. The five-clawed golden dragon looked up at Sui and did not hide anything. Oh, Sui's breath tightened. Of the 8 top figures who passed the test, 7 failed, and in the end, both the body and the soul were destroyed. Sui had just passed the 3 tests. Therefore, he was even more aware of the kind of talent and strength needed to pass the 3 tests. However, out of the 8 of them, 7 of them failed and their bodies and souls were destroyed. There was also one who seemed to have only succeeded halfway. If you can successfully fuse with the 3 drops of golden dragon essence blood and golden dragon soul, you will become the divine dragon emissary of the dragon clan. You will obtain the strength of the dragon clan, and you will become the top expert of this world. As if feeling the shock in Sui's heart, the five-clawed golden dragon continued. If you fail, both the body and the soul will be destroyed. If you succeed, you will become the top expert of this world. Human, you can choose for yourself. Do you want to retreat, or do you want to be fearless? A true expert is never afraid. The words of the five-clawed golden dragon were obviously very provocative to any cultivator, not to mention to obtain such benefits. There is no doubt that they could reach the sky in a single bound. No cultivator could refuse such a temptation. That was the strength and power of the dragon clan. Sui's eyes were burning. Wealth came from danger. If he wanted to become an expert, he naturally had to take risks. This was understandable. Sui knew very well how powerful the sacred mountain was. Even if he had the Origin Supreme technique and the Heavenly Fae ancient scripture, it would take a long time for him to set foot on the sacred mountain. However, if the five-clawed golden dragon said that he could obtain the 3 drops of golden dragon essence blood and golden dragon soul, it would be enough for him to become a top expert even faster. Senior, if I succeed, what is the sacred responsibility? What price will I have to pay? Suppressing the burning in his heart, Sui calmed down and asked the five-clawed golden dragon. It was impossible to give him 3 drops of golden dragon essence blood and golden dragon soul for no reason without paying a price. There was no free lunch in this world. The sacred responsibility will naturally be told to you after you become the divine dragon emissary. As for the price, you don't have to pay anything. It will be fine as long as you can fuse with the 3 drops of golden dragon essence blood and golden dragon soul. Chapter 946. Looking into Sui's eyes, the five-clawed golden dragon's eyes surged. This was a gift from the dragon race to the insignificant human. To be able to become the dragon god's emissary and lead his people to become part of the dragon guardian clan was the supreme honor and pride of a human. No human could refuse. Swear that I will forever be loyal to the dragon race for generations to come. Sui looked up at the five-clawed golden dragon and said, does this mean that if I want to get the 3 drops of golden dragon blood essence and golden dragon soul, I have to swear to become a servant of the dragon race? Even my descendants will be servants of the dragon race for generations to come and have to follow and be loyal to the dragon race forever? Hearing Sui's words, the five-clawed golden dragon seemed to be a little surprised. He looked at Sui with some surprise and said, you can say that, but becoming the dragon god's emissary is a supreme honor. Your descendants will also receive the protection of my dragon race. You can also become a top expert in this world. Senior, I'm not interested. Please find someone else. Just send me out. Before the five-clawed golden dragon could finish his words, he was interrupted by Sui. The blazing look in his eyes completely disappeared. What did you say? You don't want the 3 drops of golden dragon blood essence and golden dragon soul? The five-clawed golden dragon stared at Sui in complete surprise. For so many years, no human had been able to refuse such temptation and glory, but this young man in front of him actually directly refused. I really want it. Su-yi smiled with some helplessness and said, but forget about becoming the dragon god's emissary. I'm not interested in letting my descendants be part of the Dragon Guardian clan. This kind of honor and pride can be taken by whoever wants it. I'm not interested. The five-clawed golden dragon seemed to have not expected Su-yi to refuse so directly. That determined tone and expression proved that this human boy was not joking at all. Human youth, do you know what kind of opportunity you've lost? Even if you're talented, you should know that with your current talent, the chances of you becoming a peak expert in this world are slim. However, if you possess my golden dragon blood essence and golden dragon soul, everything will be different. Becoming a peak expert in this world is just around the corner. At that time, you'll be able to move unhindered in this world. Don't you want to have that kind of strength? The five-clawed golden dragon stared at Su-yi and asked in a deep voice. There was a hint of pressure in his voice. It was deafening and intimidating. This opportunity is indeed very tempting. Thank you for your kind intentions, Senior, but I'm not interested. Su-yi shook his head, still resolutely rejecting. What? The five-clawed golden dragon was puzzled and asked. I've already said that I'm not interested in becoming a servant of the Dragon Clan. I'm even less interested in having my descendants protect the Dragon Clan. Who wants such honor and pride? Perhaps in your heart. Humans are very insignificant, but that's only in your heart. In front of you, no one can resist such temptation. They think that this is pride and glory, but it's also someone you've met before. Su-yi raised his eyes and looked at the five-clawed golden dragon. He was neither servile nor overbearing, but firm and resolute, and said, but I'm different. I won't become a servant of anyone, and I won't let my descendants be servants, not even dragons. Being a human again, even in his previous life, had always been incomparably close to the dragon. It was a totem that was branded in the body and soul. But to become a dragon servant, Su-yi could not do it. Perhaps it was because he possessed the primordial chaos supreme technique, but when he heard the five-clawed golden dragon's words, the heavenly essence Fey soul in Su-yi's mind rippled as it emitted a scarlet glow. It was an unyielding will that came from the depths of his soul. Powerful strength was something that Su-yi yearned for and pursued even in his dreams. If he did not become a pinnacle expert in the world, he would not be able to set foot on the holy mountain and wash away the humiliation he had suffered. But if he had to pay the price of becoming a servant, Su-yi did not hesitate, nor would he choose. With the primordial chaos supreme technique, Su-yi could sense that his primordial chaos supreme technique was in no way inferior to the dragon's. At that moment, in front of the five-clawed golden dragon, while circulating the primordial chaos supreme technique, Su-yi had an inexplicable confidence and intuition. Once the mysteries and profundities of the primordial chaos supreme technique were completely unraveled, he might be able to match the dragon's or even surpass it. With the primordial chaos supreme technique and the heavenly fey ancient scripture, he could also become a pinnacle expert in this world. At worst, it would just take a little longer. Upon hearing Su-yi's words, the five-clawed golden dragon was taken aback. He sighed slightly and moved his claws slightly. Immediately, a golden void rift appeared behind Su-yi. He said, "Behind you is the exit. After you walk out, you will no longer have any chance of obtaining such an opportunity. But human youth, you had best think it through. If you refuse, you will miss out on benefits that many people dream of. You still have one last chance to regret it." "Thank you, Senior. I won't regret it." Su-yi smiled. His ragged clothes did not cover his body. With a wave of his sleeve, he turned and walked into the golden void rift with a smile in his eyes. Although he did not obtain the golden dragon blood essence or the golden dragon soul, the 3 trials had given him immense benefits. Chapter 9:47. With Su-yi's current cultivation, even the Supreme Origin technique could not withstand such a terrifying dragon's might. He could not help but tremble. He could clearly feel that there was no malice in this terrifying aura. He was still in a daze about all these changes. He had yet to recover from his shock, and could only allow the 9 dragons to soar and descend together. The 9 dragons soared, and their dragon's might was awe-inspiring, as if they had descended from the ancient times. Accompanied by the rotation of the golden galaxy, it was as if the universe had been turned upside down. Finally, they turned into 9 bright golden lights and landed on Su Yi's chest. Like 9 golden thunderbolts, they directly merged into Su Yi's body and disappeared. Ayo, ayo, ayo. Another 3-dragon roars resounded. It was as mighty as the sound of the heavens, and the ancient times trembled. 3 golden dragons swept out from the sky, accompanied by unparalleled dragon's might. They turned into 3 golden lights and plunged into the space between Su Yi's eyebrows. The dazzling golden light could not be seen. It was like a golden sun that could burn everything. Su Yi had no choice but to close his eyes tightly. Boom! The 9 golden lights on his chest and the 3 between his eyebrows fell. In an instant, they turned into a mighty force that spread out from Su Yi's body. This surging force made Su Yi feel as if there were golden dragons rushing out from within his body. They wanted to break his bones and muscles. The 3 golden lights in Su Yi's mind gathered together and turned into a dazzling 5-clawed golden dragon. The dragon's roar was sonorous as it charged directly into Su Yi's mind and soul. Human young man, you are the only one who has truly passed the test. However, the 9 drops of golden dragon's blood essence and the 3 wisps of golden dragon soul that you have obtained are more difficult to fuse within others. The golden dragon's blood essence and the golden dragon's soul contain the innate skills of the dragon tribe. However, whether you can obtain such a great opportunity in the end depends on you. The 5-clawed golden dragon's voice rang in Su Yi's ears again. In the canyon, there were 4 golden saber protectors of the Gimdeo sect. There were 3 men and 1 woman. For Origin Void Realm auras were almost unreservedly released. For pairs of eyes were sharp, and anger and grievance surged out from the faces of the 4 people. Bastard! How could he have disappeared? This is absolutely impossible. A thin, middle-aged man had a gloomy expression on his face. A few hours ago, he had boasted that if that brat escaped, he would eat *T. But now that brat had really disappeared into thin air. The 4 of them searched for several hours, and they almost dug 3 feet into the ground, but they still couldn't find any trace of that brat. That brat is most likely related to the person who killed young sect master. We can't let him escape. The woman opened her mouth. The sect was now desperately looking for the murderer of the young master. Originally, if the 4 of them found this boy, it would be a great merit. But now, this brat had disappeared under their noses. This great merit had suddenly turned into a big mistake. Originally, they would be rewarded heavily, but now, they would most likely be punished heavily. Could it be that an Origin Emperor expert took action and rescued that brat? Behind that brat, there is an Origin Emperor expert following him. The thin middle-aged man said in a deep voice. The only thing he could think of now was the intervention of an Origin Emperor expert. It wasn't impossible for an Origin Emperor expert to secretly rescue someone under their noses. It's not possible. If that brat has an Origin Emperor expert behind him, how could he let us go? The woman shook her head. The person behind that brat must be the one who killed young sect master Yang Chuan. If he dared to kill the young sect master, if he was really an Origin Emperor expert, he wouldn't hide in front of them. That brat might have some concealment technique. I have an intuition that he must still be nearby. The middle-aged leader's gloomy gaze was filled with confidence. He believed in his intuition that the brat must be hiding nearby and definitely hadn't gone far. Big brother, when will the expert from the sect rush over? The thin middle-aged man asked the middle-aged leader. If the experts from the sect rushed over, even if that brat had some concealment technique, he wouldn't be able to escape the search of the experts from the sect. I have already sent back the news that someone related to the death of a young sect master has been found. I believe that the experts from the sect will rush over at the fastest speed. Perhaps the sect master will come personally. The middle-aged leader's gaze was gloomy. He said to the three people beside him, "If we can find and capture that brat before the experts from the sect arrive, it will be a great merit. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we won't be able to avoid punishment." Everyone, continue the search. Yes, the three of them replied. Their gloomy faces were filled with unsightly coldness. On the mountaintop, ancient trees towered into the sky. On the canopy of the trees that covered the sky, a few figures were astonished. The four Golden Blade protectors of the Gimdeo sect are looking for something. It's strange. Could it be that they have found something? An old man in his 50s spoke. His eyes were narrowed, and there was a faint aura on his body. He had been secretly paying attention to the four people from the Gimdeo sect. They seemed to be searching for something in the distance in a very abnormal manner. This made him somewhat suspicious and surprised. Something is wrong. Pay attention to them. There is definitely a treasure here. When the experts from the sect arrive, we don't have to worry about the experts from the Demon Clan. Protector Wong narrowed his eyes and kept looking ahead. Many sects had already noticed the movement here. The experts from the Demon Clan in this area were not to be trifled with. There was the aura of an expert in the Demon Royal Realm in front of them, so they didn't dare to go forward to check. They could only wait outside for the experts from the sect to arrive. Boom! As soon as Protector Wong's voice fell, the mountain in front of them shook and the void trembled. A golden light shot up into the sky from afar, and the aura spread in all directions like a storm. A huge pressure filled the air in front of them, causing the divine souls of all living creatures to tremble. Oh! In the distance, countless beasts roared like thunder. It was deafening. Waves of ferocious demon aura surged into the sky. After a few breaths, the golden light finally subsided. In the mountain in front of them, several gullies appeared on the ground, and the mountain peaks shifted. The roars of countless beasts also subsided. Waves of demon aura calmed down in the forest. It seems that a treasure is about to break out of the ground. Chapter 948. There have been a few such movements. This time, the movement is even more intense. The treasure should be appearing soon. The old woman and the other two Origin Void Realm cultivators beside Guardian Wong could not help but feel their hearts pounding. Among the mountains in all directions, there were several extraordinary auras on the peaks of several mountains. Many burning gazes were looking in a certain direction. Around the mountains, thousands of beasts were moving. The roars of beasts could be heard continuously. Waves of powerful demonic aura almost sealed off the surrounding mountains. On one of the mountain peaks, several gigantic barbaric demonic beasts stood tall like small mountains. In front of them stood a purple figure. This purple figure had a well-built body, just like a giant. He was at least 10 feet tall and was dressed in purple clothes that outlined his well-built body. He had a wide forehead and a large face. His eyes were bright, and there seemed to be a purple glow faintly overflowing on his exposed skin. Humans like the Green Sanctuary sect and the Gimdeo sect are here too. This is the territory of the Demon Clan. Do you think you can obtain the treasure? The purple figure spoke. His voice was low and deep. The faint aura on his body seemed to be able to freeze the surrounding void. Purple Elephant Emperor, do you want to chase those humans away? Behind the purple figure, a gigantic barbaric demonic beast spoke in human language. It was a Demon Clan elite who had reached the demonic void realm. There's no need. Those are just ants. The elites from the Gimdeo sect, Green Sanctuary sect, Xinjian sect, Liuha sect, and Seven Star Sword School have not arrived yet. Killing these ants will not affect us much. However, we have to be careful of them. There must be a great treasure buried here. We can't let it fall into their hands. The giant known as the Purple Elephant Emperor narrowed his eyes slightly as he scanned his surroundings. There were several auras in the surroundings that made him wary and alert. Unknowingly, the sky had become a little foggy. In the gray sky, the color of the haze was like the rocks on the cliff. At this moment, the cliff was bare and steep, but there were many barbaric demonic beasts climbing up. A few gigantic beast shadows stood tall like giant rocks. In the middle, there was a 3-year-old child standing on the back of a ferocious bird. This person had a childlike figure, but his face was very mature. He looked to be in his 50s. However, one could be sure that this old man was definitely not in his 50s. His white robes were like jade, and they were a little too big for his body. His face and his figure were extremely uncoordinated, but his eyes seemed to be glowing with a strange light at all times. It was enough to make one's heart palpitate, and one would feel a chill run down one's spine for no reason at all when looking at him. Those guys came pretty fast. The old man with the body of a 3-year-old child spoke. His voice was very sharp and somewhat ear-piercing. It was very unpleasant to hear. Devouring Spirit Emperor, there's still a lot of humans around. Should we get rid of them? A huge savage beast asked in human language. There's no need. They're just ants. The treasure buried here is about to appear. Those fellows are the ones who need to be careful. S knew almost XH fast. On S, Q0 youth dwarf old man, who was called Devouring Spirit Emperor, glanced indifferently at the distance. He did not care about the auras of the humans there. However, he had to pay attention to the auras in front of him. On the bare mountaintop, even the rocks were brown. Large groups of barbaric demonic beasts gathered together, and deep roars could be heard from time to time. A few gigantic barbaric demonic beasts stood tall like small mountains. Waves of demonic chi gathered together, and it was very frightening. A black-clothed, middle-aged man looked around. His strange golden eyes were filled with a strange light, and there was an extremely domineering and fierce aura around him. That little worm and that stupid elephant came really fast. However, that old tortoise is a little tricky. The black-clothed, middle-aged man's demonic eyes were filled with dread. The lone peak was high into the clouds, and it was surrounded by clouds. An old man looked at the cracked mountain in front of him. However, his eyes were shining brightly, and there were no wrinkles on his ruddy face. The old man's eyes were dark and bottomless. He opened his mouth slightly and muttered, "What a strong aura. Just the aura that is leaking out has such a high level of demonic chi. It seems like the treasure buried here must be the treasure of the demonic tribe." Oh, whoa. Behind the old man, there were many barbaric demonic beasts entrenched themselves. The demonic chi that they released caused the surrounding void to surge. Impossible. How is this possible? This is absolutely impossible. In a mysterious space, a 5-clawed golden dragon was entrenched in the void. Its eyes were filled with stars, and golden light shone in them. At this moment, it was filled with shock, as if it had seen the most unbelievable thing in its life. It said in shock, "This is unbelievable. This guy is too sick. How can there be such a sick human?" Golden light filled the golden space. He was already sitting cross-legged. His entire body was surrounded by golden light. It was as if there were golden divine chains hanging down from the void, covering his entire body. Inside Su Yi's body, no one could see that his bones, muscles, limbs, and internal organs had all turned into a dazzling golden light. Surges of turbulent energy were as vast as the ocean. This was the energy of the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence. At this moment, it had turned into energy in Su Yi's body. The energy was too vast. The 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence were enough to destroy thousands of 4th-level Yuan Jun realm cultivators. The dragon's aura was powerful enough to destroy everything. However, the vast and turbulent energy was extremely gentle in Su Yi's body. Although it was surging, it did not seem to cause any discomfort to Su Yi. No one knew that Su Yi was in so much pain that he wished he was dead. When the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence spread in his body, even Su Yi's diamond body, which had been strengthened by various means, could not withstand it. However, at this moment, the Origin Supreme technique in Su Yi's body suddenly activated on its own. An incomparably domineering and destructive aura erupted. It was as if it could not be provoked. It directly suppressed and resisted the domineering and fierce aura of the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence. Then, a mysterious aura fluctuated within the Origin Supreme technique. It cleansed the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence. Finally, it tamed the turbulent energy of the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence and turned them into wisps of energy that spread throughout Su Yi's body. The dense and endless energy spread and lingered in his body like a golden waterfall. It permeated Su Yi's body from the inside out, nourishing and tempering it. Chapter 949. The golden light was like a golden divine light, like a divine liquid that had descended from the ancient times, nourishing and tempering this young man. Along with the faint fluctuations of the golden dragon behind him, this was a great creation, and it had landed on Su Yi's body. As this continued, Su Yi's internal organs, tendons, muscles, limbs, and bones gradually emitted a faint golden light under the influence of the golden divine light. Even his bones were emitting a faint golden light from the inside out. Su Yi's eyes were tightly shut, and his body was overflowing with golden light and divine clouds. Under the suppression of Su Yi's Origin Supreme technique, the surging energy from the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence flowed like water into his body. It was as simple as drinking water. Roar! Su Yi's body rumbled, and at the same time, there was a dragon's roar. At all times, Su Yi's body was emitting a golden light, like a golden dragon that was about to soar. Waves of dragon power fluctuated, and Su Yi's bones were changing. His flesh and blood were trembling, and there was a constant crackling sound, like the roar of wind and thunder, as the ancient power spread. After cultivating the body of diamond, Su Yi's physical body had been very difficult to improve much. However, in the test not long ago, Su Yi's physical body had been strengthened by a lot. At this moment, under the energy of the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence, Su Yi's physical body was strengthened again, and it continued to strengthen and transform at an extremely fast speed. At the same time, within Su Yi's great void god ocean, rumbling sounds rang out. The energy of the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence turned into pure vital qi, and under Su Yi's Origin Supreme technique, it was as if it belonged to him. It kept pouring into his body, and his aura continued to rise. Whoosh! Su Yi's black hair was illuminated by the golden light, and his body was overflowing with golden light. The shadow of a dragon was faintly discernible, and he was like a young deity. At this moment, he possessed a shocking might. Roar! At this moment, a similarly shocking change occurred in Su Yi's mind. The golden dragon shadow, formed by the 3 wisps of golden dragon soul, was being suppressed by the heavenly origin demon soul in Su Yi's mind. The soul of the golden dragon was so powerful that it could suppress all living beings from the past to the present. However, for some reason, such a terrifying golden dragon soul was being suppressed and restrained by Su Yi's heavenly Yuan demonic soul. Beside the heavenly origin demon soul, there was a mysterious ball of light that was emitting a faint red glow. Under the illumination of the light, the shadow of the golden dragon was completely suppressed. Then it was absorbed by the heavenly origin demon soul and gradually devoured. The golden dragon shadow's eyes were filled with fear. It did not even have the strength to struggle as it was slowly being devoured. As the shadow of the golden dragon shadow became dimmer, the heavenly origin demon soul in Su Yi's mind became more and more dazzling. There was a faint golden color, and the light was even more dazzling. Roar! The roar of a dragon resounded in Su Yi's mind from time to time, causing the heavenly origin demon soul to surge like a divine light. It was dazzling and shocking. What's going on? How could it be absorbed so easily? Somewhere in the void, the 5-clawed golden dragon was extremely shocked, as if it had seen a ghost. Even if it knew that this human youth was extremely talented, the golden dragon's blood essence and golden dragon soul were not something that an ordinary human could withstand, especially the golden dragon soul. The strength of a dragon soul far exceeded that of a human. Out of the 8 people who had passed the previous 3 tests, only 1 out of 8 managed to absorb 3 drops of the golden dragon's blood essence and a wisp of the golden dragon soul. Furthermore, when the 8 of them were tested, each of them was already one of the top powerhouses on this continent. However, the young man in front of him was only at the Yuanjin stage. Moreover, the difference between 3 drops of golden dragon's blood essence and a wisp of the golden dragon soul and 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence and 3 wisps of the golden dragon soul was definitely not as simple as 3 by 3 equals 9. The difficulty and danger in the middle were much greater. But now, the 5-clawed golden dragon clearly saw that a total of 9 drops of golden dragon's blood essence and 3 wisps of the golden dragon soul had been absorbed by this young man. 5th level Yuan Jun stage. 6th level Yuan Jun stage. 7th level Yuan Jun stage. The 5-clawed golden dragon was tongue-tied. The young man's aura was rising rapidly, and there was no sign of it stopping. Golden light overflowed, and the shadow of the golden dragon was faintly discernible. The dragon's might was mighty, and it was vast and mighty. This was the power of the golden dragon's blood essence and golden dragon soul, and they were all absorbed by Su. This is unbelievable. The 5-clawed golden dragon was shocked. Everything seemed so unbelievable. Even it was shocked. How could a human have such a physique? Even if this was a real dragon, or even the most powerful of the younger generation of the Dragon Clan, this was nothing. Old Dragon King, did my boss pass the test? In the void, everything was blank. Su, he seemed to be unable to see the space where Su Yi was, and he asked the 5-clawed golden dragon. The 5-clawed golden dragon looked at Su Yi, and the shock in its eyes disappeared. It nodded and said, "For now, he passed, but I think it will take some time. Don't worry, my boss will definitely pass your test." Handsome Su's eyes were filled with absolute confidence in his boss. I didn't expect that this small continent would have the bloodline of the Phoenix clan. It's unbelievable. It seems that the Phoenix clan had already prepared a last resort. It's a pity that this small continent is a barren land in the real world. There are bloodlines left, but the real Phoenix spirit has not been awakened. The 5-clawed golden dragon looked at Su Xiaoshui, and there was a hint of surprise and sadness in his eyes. He then continued, "The Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan have always been on good terms. Well, it's fate that brought us here. I'll help you awaken the Phoenix spirit." Boom! When the 5-clawed golden dragon finished speaking, 2 rays of golden light shot out from its pair of star-like dragon eyes and finally converged into a dazzling golden light, which swept into Su Yi's glabella. Walala! When the golden light disappeared into Su Yi's glabella, a blazing flame suddenly spread out from Su Yi's body and instantly covered his whole body. The surrounding flames roared, and in an instant, it was as if it had turned into a blazing red sea of fire. Chapter 950. The phantom of the divine bird spread its wings, and it was suffused with scarlet flames. It was colorful, as if it had passed through the ancient times. Its scarlet eyes seemed to contain 2 seas of fire, like 2 blazing suns rising. The phantom of an ancient giant beast flashed in its eyes, and everything was shocking to the extreme. At this moment, the 5-clawed golden dragon was stunned. It was as if he had seen the most unbelievable thing in his life. He kept muttering to himself, "It's already unbelievable that this small world has the bloodline of the Phoenix clan. How could it be? This is impossible. How could it be?" The 5-clawed golden dragon was shocked. The shadow of the Phoenix was so powerful that it looked down on the world and suppressed billions of lives. It was the bloodline of the Phoenix, but it was definitely not the ordinary bloodline of the Phoenix. Time was still passing. Su, he sat cross-legged, surrounded by the golden chains. There was an indescribable Tao connotation. In the void, there was an endless stream of energy that came from nowhere and poured into Su Yi's body. The golden dragon's blood essence and the golden dragon's soul were refining Su Yi's physical body and soul. They turned into energy and combined with the energy of heaven and earth, causing his aura to rise continuously. The vital chi in Su Yi's great void divine sea rumbled continuously. Waves rose and fell, wind and thunder clanged. Vast and mighty level 9 Yuan Jin realm. Peak level 9 Yuan Jin realm. The aura in Su Yi's body was like a rocket. It was rising at an unbelievable speed and broke through many invisible bottlenecks. This kind of breakthrough was like a gift from heaven and earth. There were no side effects, and it even made the aura in his body more and more solid. If there was an expert here and saw Su Yi's breakthrough, he would be scared silly. Boom! At a certain moment, the great void spirit sea in Su Yi's body roared. His Dantian sea of qi expanded violently. His aura was surging, and his qi was like a vast ocean. There was also pure qi pouring in from afar, causing the great void spirit sea to reach its limit. It was as if it was going to explode. In an instant, the great void spirit sea expanded, and the surging sea of qi calmed down. Other than the pure qi that was pouring in, the surroundings seemed to have frozen strangely. It was just an instant, but that instant felt as long as countless years. Boom! Then, Su Yi's great void, spiritual sea, suddenly trembled, and an unparalleled wave of energy spread out. The entire great void spiritual sea seemed to have exploded. The space contracted and then returned to its original state. However, in that instant, everything in Su Yi's great void spirit sea changed. It was filled with multicolored light and became ethereal. If there was someone here, they would have immediately sensed that this was the origin void realm. From the 4th level of Yuan Jun stage to the Yuan void stage, Su Yi's aura had skyrocketed all the way. This was something that had never happened in the entire continent since ancient times. The golden light and the illusory 5-clawed golden dragon enveloped Su Yi from the inside out and from the outside in, and merged with Su Yi. Su Yi sat cross-legged and was like the incarnation of the golden dragon. A golden divine ring formed around him, and the golden dragon coiled around him, absorbing the energy of heaven and earth and absorbing the energy of the golden dragon to refine his physical body and soul. No one could see that Su Yi's internal organs, bones, muscles, limbs, and bones were gradually covered with a layer of pale golden light. It was like a layer of pale golden light film. This light film was not wrapped, but forged from the inside out. The energy of the golden dragon's blood essence surged and entered his limbs, bones, and internal organs to refine and refine every strand of his flesh and bones. Roar! At a certain moment, within the heavenly origin demonic soul in Su Yi's mind, the last trace of the illusory golden dragon formed by the 3 strands of the golden dragon soul was finally completely merged with the heavenly origin demonic soul. The heavenly origin demonic soul carried the souls of all living beings to strengthen its own soul. The golden dragon's soul seemed to be suppressed at this moment, and then it was swallowed and absorbed by the heavenly origin demonic soul. Rumble. When the last trace of the golden dragon's soul's energy was swallowed by the heavenly origin demonic soul, a heavenly sound resonated in Su Yi's mind. It was vast and mighty like endless thunder. With such a commotion, a golden light suddenly appeared within the heavenly origin demonic soul in Su Yi's mind. Within the golden light, there were densely packed runes that gathered together to form the vague image of a golden dragon. Golden dragon suppresses the 9 heavens. World-suppressing dragon soul chant. Su Yi clearly did not recognize these runes, but when they appeared in the heavenly origin demonic soul, Su Yi recognized them at a glance. It was as if they were something that was innate in his mind. From these runes, Su Yi knew that they were dragon patterns. What was inscribed on them was one of the dragon tribe's great techniques. The golden dragon suppresses the 9 heavens. There was also the world-suppressing dragon soul chant, which was a powerful, innate technique of the dragon tribe. When activated by the dragon soul, it could suppress the souls of all living beings in the world. The appearance of these techniques seemed to be something that Su he was born with. There was no need for him to comprehend them, and they could be integrated into his blood and soul. Rumble, in the depths of the mountain range, another golden light shot into the sky. It lasted for nearly 10 breaths of time before it subsided. Oh! The beasts howled and roared. Under the terrifying aura, the beasts prostrated themselves and bowed towards the source of the golden light that shot into the sky. It should be coming out soon. In the surrounding mountain range, there were waves of aura and burning gazes. Among the many auras, there were 4 that were the most intense. One was a white-robed dwarf, one was a purple-robed giant, one was a black-robed middle-aged man, and one was an extremely old man with a ruddy complexion. Swoosh, swoosh. From afar, many figures soared into the sky and landed one after another. Waves of aura also descended on the mountain range. These annoying humans, they're really fast. In the mountains, the white-robed dwarf, the purple-robed giant, the ruddy old man, and the black-robed middle-aged man glanced at the void behind them. The gazes on their faces gradually became a little more serious. The arrival of these humans made them no longer careless and looked down on them. In the void, the 5-clawed golden dragon was entrenched. In the dragon's eyes, star-like light fluctuated. It raised its eyes and squinted for a while, as if it was sensing something. It murmured softly, "This area clearly is such a young man and the phoenix bloodline, but why are the other creatures so weak? Strange." At a certain moment, the aura in Su Yi's body finally began to show signs of calming down. However, the golden divine halo around him was still beautiful. The golden dragon's shadow was faintly discernible. It set off the almost naked Su Yi, sacred and domineering like a god. His aura was frightening, and there was a terrifying pressure freely. Su Yi had transformed once again. This transformation used the diamond body as the foundation to reach a higher level. Strictly speaking, it was an additional type of Tao. This was the aura of a dragon, the majesty of a dragon. Chapter 9:51. Within the golden space, the wind was calm and the waves were calm. Su Yi's black hair hung loosely, his eyes were slightly closed, and his entire body emitted a crimson gold color. At this moment, Su Yi was clearly like an old monk in meditation, and there wasn't even the slightest fluctuation of aura on his body. Yet for no reason, he gave others a trembling feeling as if an enormous beast was in hibernation. After an entire short moment, his eyelashes slightly moved, and Su Yi's eyes abruptly opened. The crimson red light in his eyes flickered like lightning as it shot into the distance. The aura on Su Yi's body shook, his black hair fluttered, and his aura shook the sky. At this moment, Su Yi, who'd awakened, had shock that couldn't be suppressed for a long time in his eyes. Because the inner vision from before allowed Su Yi to be extremely clear that he'd already stepped foot into the peak of the first level of the Origin Void stage. That's right, this was the true Origin Void stage. Although he'd never stepped foot into the Origin Void stage before, Su Yi was extremely clear at this moment that he'd stepped foot into the peak of the first level of the Origin Void stage, and he wasn't far from the second level of the Origin Void stage. When he entered this miraculous space that day, he was only at the fourth level of the Origin Void stage. How enormous of a breakthrough was it to go from the fourth level of the Origin Void stage to the first level of the Origin Void stage? More importantly, it was a leap of a great realm from the Origin Void stage to the Origin Void stage. The most basic change was that Origin Void stage martial artists were unable to step foot into the sky to fly, but Origin Void stage martial artists were able to do so. In other words, even if he didn't execute the third level of the skyward transformation steps, Su Yi would still be able to fly in the sky. At this moment, what caused the shock in Su Yi's eyes to not fade away was the changes within his body. The terrifying and vigorous surging origin energy within the void divine ocean was secondary, and more importantly, the changes within his body and soul were more important. On his body, Su Yi noticed through inner vision that his internal organs, tendons, muscles, limbs, and so on had all been tempered once more. He was faintly able to feel that there seemed to be a five-clawed golden dragon's silhouette inscribed within his body. The dragon tail was engraved on the bones of his legs. The 5 claws of the golden dragon were on his knees and elbows, and 1 claw was engraved outside the great void spirit sea. The ferocious dragon head seemed to be engraved on Su Yi's skull. Su Yi's entire body was engraved with a 5-clawed golden dragon. At this moment, Su Yi could clearly feel that even if he did not use any Yuan Qi and stood there motionlessly, he would not be harmed at all by a peak 9th level Yuan Jin stage expert's full-force attack. In terms of soul, Su Yi was even more shocked. The 3 strands of Golden Dragon's soul seemed to have been devoured and absorbed by his heavenly origin demonic soul. At this moment, his heavenly origin demonic soul had become terrifyingly powerful after the breakthrough. More importantly, with the help of the 3 strands of Golden Dragon's soul, his soul had been strengthened to an absolute level. There is even an additional Tao connotation of dragon might. Su Yi had never doubted the power of the heavenly origin demon soul. All this while, Su Yi had rarely used the heavenly origin demon soul. However, he had never met a soul stronger than the heavenly origin demon soul. However, at this moment, Su Yi could clearly feel that the heavenly Yuan demonic spirit had improved by leaps and bounds from its original foundation after merging with the 3 wisps of Golden Dragon soul, be it in terms of surging power or quality. No wonder the 5-clawed Golden Dragon said that the Dragon Clan's soul was the best of the best. This was definitely not an exaggeration. Feeling the surging heavenly origin demon soul in his mind, Su Yi had a kind of confidence. In terms of pure soul power, he could trample on a soul controller of the same level. After a long time, the shock in Su Yi's eyes finally subsided. His eyes regained their tenacity and depth. He clenched his fists, and Yuan Qi surged in his meridians. There were even circles of visible dents around his fists. So strong, even Su Yi himself felt a sense of strength from this. After breaking through so many levels and stepping into the Origin Void stage, Su Yi felt that he finally had some strength. The difference between the Origin Void stage and the Yuan Jun stage was like heaven and earth. The gap between the stages in strength was huge. More importantly, only when one reached the Origin Void stage could one be considered a true powerhouse. Of course, the term powerhouse was only relative. However, the Origin Void stage, no matter where one went on this continent, would have a place. This was without a doubt. The Origin Void stage was a stage that many cultivators dreamed of. However, the Yuan Jun stage was different. After all, it could not be compared to the Origin Void stage. I really did not expect that a human could obtain the Golden Dragon Blood Essence and Golden Dragon Soul so perfectly. Unbelievable, really unbelievable. The 5-clawed Golden Dragon's voice sounded. When Su Yi stood up and raised his eyes, the scene before his eyes had already changed. The shocking and powerful enormous 5-clawed Golden Dragon once again occupied the space before him. Its vast and mighty aura was unparalleled, perhaps because he obtained the Golden Dragon Blood Essence and Golden Dragon Soul. Compared to when he faced the 5-clawed Golden Dragon's terrifying aura, Su Yi now felt a sense of closeness to the 5-clawed Golden Dragon's aura. However, that powerful aura still existed. It was not difficult for Su Yi to understand that even if he had reached the peak of the 1st level of the Yuan Jun stage from the 4th level of the Yuan Jin stage, he was still as tiny as a drop in the ocean before this 5-clawed Golden Dragon. It was like an ant facing an elephant. Thank you, Senior Golden Dragon. There is nothing wrong with taking advantage of others. No matter what, the benefits he received from the 5-clawed Golden Dragon were incomparably huge. At this moment, when Su Yi faced the 5-clawed Golden Dragon again, his attitude was sincerely much better. It was not purely respectful like before. You're welcome. I also did not expect that a little human like you could actually fuse with the Golden Dragon Blood Essence and Golden Dragon Soul. It seems like you're even more extraordinary than what you've shown. There must be many mysteries in your body. The five-clawed golden dragon looked down at Su. Its starry eyes stared fixedly at Su-yi as if it wanted to see through Su-yi. A human who could fuse with the golden dragon blood essence and golden dragon soul so easily was definitely not ordinary. Su-yi immediately became vigilant when he felt the five-clawed golden dragon's gaze. Others might not know, but Su-yi knew very well that he was able to successfully refine and fuse with the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence and 3 strands of golden dragon soul. All of this was related to the Origin Supreme technique and the mysterious space. Although the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence and 3 strands of golden dragon soul were precious treasures that were hard to find in the entire world, if compared to his mysterious space, Su-yi would choose the mysterious space without any hesitation. No matter from which aspect, Su-yi had an inexplicable confidence that the mysterious space was much more powerful than the 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence and 3 strands of golden dragon soul. Chapter 952. Of course, this was not to say that the golden dragon's blood essence and the golden dragon soul were the same. On the contrary, treasures like the golden dragon's blood essence and the golden dragon's soul were hard to find. It was just that the origin of the mysterious space was too mysterious. It gave Su-yi everything that Su-yi had today. This also made Su-yi believe that the mysterious space was much more powerful and precious to him than the 3 wisps of golden dragon's soul and the 9 drops of golden dragon's blood essence. Therefore, at this moment, when he felt that the 5-clawed golden dragon was spying on him, Su-yi immediately became vigilant. As if feeling the vigilance in Su-yi's heart, the 5-clawed golden dragon looked at Su-yi's dragon eyes. There was a slight fluctuation in his eyes, and his voice was much calmer. "Young man, don't worry. Even if you have a peerless treasure, I won't take a second look at it. I'm just curious about everything about you. After all, you are the only human I chose, and the only one who passed the 4 tests and successfully integrated the 9 drops of golden dragon's blood essence and the 3 wisps of golden dragon's soul. What you are carrying now is also my hope, the hope of my dragon clan." Dragon clan? Su-yi's eyes moved. The 2 words dragon clan gave Su-yi an indescribable feeling of shock. For Su-yi in his previous life, the dragon clan was a kind of mythical totem that he yearned for and revered. However, it only existed in legends and beliefs. It was a belief that came from the soul. In this life, the dragon, the phoenix, and such divine beasts had long disappeared and were buried in the ancient times. At this moment, a real 5-clawed golden dragon appeared in front of Su-yi. The impact it brought to him was too great, not to mention that he had obtained 9 drops of golden dragon's blood essence and 3 wisps of golden dragon soul. "Senior Golden Dragon, what is all this about?" Su-yi asked. There were too many doubts in his heart. How did this space appear here? Why did the 5-clawed golden dragon give him such a precious treasure like 9 drops of golden dragon's blood essence and 3 wisps of golden dragon soul? What was the purpose of all this? The great calamity is coming. The Dragon Clan, the Phoenix Clan, the White Tiger Clan, the Black Tortoise Clan, the God Clan, the Demon Clan, and all the other clans in the world. The 5-clawed golden dragon seemed to be able to see through the doubts in Su-yi's heart. Light flashed in its dragon eyes, as if the stars were moving and the universe was in turmoil. The faint roars of thousands of beasts and the sound of thunder could be heard. However, the aura that emanated from those dragon eyes caused Su-yi's Tinyuan demon soul to tremble. From the blurry corner of the dragon's eyes, Su-yi's soul seemed to be connected to it, and Su-yi could feel how turbulent it was back then. Sigh. With a sigh, the 5-clawed golden dragon's eyes calmed down. The terrifying aura in his eyes also disappeared. He looked at Su-yi and said, "You have obtained the essence blood and the soul of the golden dragon. Just now, you seem to have sensed something that no one in this world could ever sense. That is a great calamity. Although it has been buried in the ancient times, it hasn't disappeared. However, I'm afraid that it won't be long before this great calamity will descend upon this world again. At that time, no one in this world will be able to escape. Compared to before, this great calamity will be even more terrifying. A great calamity is coming. Su Yi's heart trembled for no reason. According to the five-clawed golden dragon, the great calamity in the ancient times had buried the dragon clan and the phoenix clan. If the great calamity came again, who in the world could stop it? It was enough to destroy the world. No, if the great calamity had buried everything, why would Senior Golden Dragon appear here? Su Yi shook his head and looked at the five-clawed golden dragon. If the great calamity in the ancient times had buried everything, how could the five-clawed golden dragon appear in front of him now? Do you think I'm still alive? The five-clawed golden dragon smiled bitterly and looked at Su Yi, saying, "The me you see now is only a remnant soul." Remnant soul? How is that possible? Su Yi was puzzled. Although his cultivation was not very high, he was still a soul controller who cultivated the art of controlling the heavens. He knew that a remnant soul could not exist for so many years, from the ancient times to the present. Even if it was a true dragon soul of the dragon clan, it was impossible for it to exist until now. Moreover, it was only a remnant soul. It was far from being comparable to a true dragon soul. This was absolutely impossible. Do you think it is impossible? How can a remnant soul exist from the ancient times to the present? The five-clawed golden dragon smiled and looked at Su Yi, saying, "There is no need to doubt. The souls of the dragon clan are very powerful. I believe that you have already experienced it after fusing with 3 strands of the golden dragon soul. More importantly, this place is a seal. It has formed its own space in order to reduce the dissipation of the remnant soul as much as possible. Over the years, from the ancient times to the present, I have only opened the space 8 times to select the divine dragon emissary in order to find a chance for the dragon clan. However, out of the 8 times, I only succeeded once. That one time can only be considered as half a success. The other 7 times, however, I failed more and more. It seems that under the influence of the great calamity, the creatures in this world are getting weaker and weaker." The five-clawed golden dragon paused for a moment. His eyes were filled with a sense of helplessness. Then he looked at Su Yi. In his helpless eyes, there was a glimmer of hope. He continued, "Until I met you. I didn't expect you to bring me so many surprises. I can't even see through you. Speaking of which, I have to thank that little phoenix. I didn't intend to open this test and was sleeping here. It was that little phoenix that woke me up. It was also that little phoenix that allowed me to meet you and have a glimmer of hope. Is it really a remnant soul? And there's also a little phoenix? That means that handsome Su is really a phoenix." Su Yi's eyes were shining. According to the five-clawed golden dragon, even if it was just a remnant soul, it was still able to survive from the ancient times to the present day in the seal set up by the dragon. Its strength had reached a legendary level. As expected of the dragon clan, its soul was abnormally strong. And from the five-clawed golden dragon's words, Su Yi also understood that handsome Su's body was really a phoenix. There was no doubt that he was a real phoenix cub. Then why did Senior give me the blood, essence, and soul of the golden dragon? I have already made it clear that I can't be a servant of the dragon clan. I have no interest in being the divine dragon emissary. What is going on? Please tell me, Senior." Su Yi asked. He now had 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence and 3 wisps of golden dragon soul in his body. However, he had no interest in being a servant of the dragon clan or the so-called divine dragon emissary. There are some things that you will naturally know when you reach a certain level of strength in the future. Telling you now will only increase your pressure and affect your cultivation. Of course, the premise is that you have the opportunity to reach that step smoothly. Chapter 953. Is that so? Su Yi was getting more and more confused. He looked at the five-clawed golden dragon and asked, "But Senior Golden Dragon wouldn't give me such a great benefit for no reason, right?" The golden dragon's blood essence and soul of the golden dragon were such great benefits. So he didn't believe that the five-clawed golden dragon senior would give them to him for no reason. This was too generous. Although he was also a descendant of the dragon in his previous life, this definitely had nothing to do with this. The five-clawed golden dragon, was speechless again. He immediately smiled and said to Sue, "These benefits were obtained by your own ability, so they're given to you. If you are unable to integrate the golden dragon blood essence and the golden dragon soul and die, then it is your own lack of luck. I will not be responsible for it. So, all of this is given to you." But after pausing for a moment, the five-clawed golden dragon looked at Sue and said, "Although the golden dragon blood essence and the golden dragon soul already belong to you, you now have the treasure of my dragon clan. You are also my last test, so you will be the spokesperson of my dragon clan in the world." Spokesperson of the dragon clan? What kind of identity is this? Sue raised his eyebrows. Sure enough, there was no free lunch in the world. He didn't understand this at all. How could he not pay the price for receiving benefits from others? Spokesperson of the dragon clan, you can also call yourself the Divine Dragon Commander. Compared to the Divine Dragon Emissary, the Divine Dragon Commander's identity and status in the Dragon Clan is higher. Even when my Dragon Clan was prosperous, the Divine Dragon Commander's status in my Dragon Clan was comparable to that of an ordinary Dragon Clan Guardian. As the Divine Dragon Commander, you don't have to do anything. Perhaps there will be a day when you can represent that my Dragon Clan has not truly disappeared. The five-clawed golden dragon's gaze was a little sad. In ancient times, the Dragon Clan was prosperous. It was one of the most powerful clans in the world. But now, it had long been buried in the long river of time and no longer existed. This is acceptable. So he was also very helpless, since he didn't have to take any responsibility for the Divine Dragon Commander's identity, and it even sounded like his status was very high. He could accept it. After all, he did receive benefits from the Dragon Clan. The 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence and the 3 wisps of golden dragon soul that you obtained are not ordinary blood essence and golden dragon soul. You will understand in the future. You are now the Divine Dragon Commander of my Dragon Clan. So, I will give you some benefits. Anyway, I have no use it. As soon as the five-clawed golden dragon finished speaking, another 2 rays of golden light shot out and entered Su Yi's body. Su Yi looked inside himself and saw that the 2 drops of golden blood had landed on his chest, right outside his heart of Heavenly Sunday. Although it was just 2 drops of blood, they had an impressive dragon aura. The golden light was as bright as the sun and did not dissipate. These are the last 2 drops of golden dragon blood essence. You can continue to refine them, or you can keep them for him. But I have to remind you that you have already refined 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence. This is the absolute limit of a human. Even if you can refine these 2 drops of golden dragon blood essence, it will not bring much benefit to your current cultivation. The golden dragon blood essence is not ordinary. If you let other humans refine it, even the top geniuses of the world will find it difficult to refine. Moreover, the golden dragon blood essence's real effect is on the bloodline. It can guide the energy of heaven and earth to increase one's strength. Therefore, even if a human with a stronger cultivation wants to refine the golden dragon blood essence, they will face the same difficulty as you. Even if a human with a higher cultivation is able to refine the golden dragon blood essence, the effect will not be optimal because of their age and physical body. Of course, you'd better not expose this benefit to anyone. Otherwise, you can imagine what will happen to you. With your current cultivation, I'm afraid you won't even know how you died. The five-clawed golden dragon looked at Su Yi meaningfully. Junior understands. How could Su Tian not understand? The golden dragon blood essence came from the real Dragon Clan. If this spread out that he had 2 drops of golden dragon blood essence from the Dragon Clan, he would not be able to live for more than 6 hours. He would definitely be torn apart by the experts of the Chaos Realm. Su Yi also remembered the five-clawed golden dragon's words. The effect of the golden dragon blood essence was on the bloodline. Therefore, regardless of the cultivation level, The difficulty of refining the golden dragon blood essence was the same. The golden dragon blood essence could attract the energy of heaven and earth, so how much benefit one could obtain from the cultivation level also depended on the cultivation level. The energy was not contained in the golden dragon blood essence, but how much of the energy could be absorbed. However, the five-clawed golden dragon said that even the top human genius would find it difficult to integrate a drop of golden dragon blood essence. However, it seemed that it was not a problem for him to integrate 9 drops of golden dragon blood essence. This made Sui a little suspicious. Could it be that all of this was due to the mysterious space and the origin supreme art? Also, take this thing. It can represent your identity. Perhaps one day, you will be able to use it. When the five-clawed golden dragon's words entered Suyi's ears, a jade token filled with golden light fell in front of Sui. Sui grabbed the jade token in his hand. Only then did he see clearly that the palm-sized jade token was actually a dragon scale that shone with golden light, but was as smooth as jade. Faintly, there was an image of a five-clawed golden dragon engraved on it. The dragon head was ferocious, and the word commander was engraved on it. For no reason, there was a great dragon aura that filled the air. A great treasure. Suyi's heart trembled. Just this thing alone was definitely a great treasure. A dragon scale from a real dragon. The value of this was self-evident. This is the Divine Dragon Commander token. It is also the identity of the Divine Dragon Commander. Keep it well. The five-clawed golden dragon said, "Senior Golden Dragon, do you have anything else on you that this junior doesn't mind? You can give it to this junior." Holding the Divine Dragon Commander token tightly in his hand, Suyi's eyes secretly turned. This was a real five-clawed golden dragon. Anything it took out was probably a great treasure of immeasurable value. Just a little bit of it would make him rich. Don't even think about it. I'm just a remnant soul. I don't have anything on me. Suyi's dream was ruthlessly shattered by the five-clawed golden dragon. Chapter 954. The five-clawed golden dragon continued. This place has also attracted the attention of many creatures. I will close this place in a while. That little phoenix has almost awakened. Prepare to leave. Boom! As soon as the five-clawed golden dragon finished speaking, the scene in front of Sui had already disappeared. Instead, it was replaced by a blazing aura. The wind and clouds were surging, and the void was vast and mighty. Coo! A piercing screech resounded from the depths of the void. A huge phoenix phantom emerged from Suyi's blazing flames. Rumble! The void was densely covered with divine clouds. The light was boundless, and the sound of wind and thunder was sonorous. The phoenix phantom spread its wings. The surrounding void was filled with blazing flames. Its eyes seemed to contain 2 seas of fire. It was like 2 blazing suns that looked down on the world. Its terrifying aura was extremely shocking. What a powerful aura. There seems to be an additional aura. Sui naturally knew that it was Su Xiaoshuai's aura. At this moment, Su Xiaoshuai's aura was obviously much stronger than before. There was even an additional aura that stood out from the rest. Obviously, Su Xiaoshuai had also benefited greatly from this place. Soon, everything calmed down. After the terrifying scene disappeared, a colorful little bird appeared directly in front of Sui. It fluttered around in joy and said, "Boss, you seem to have made a lot of breakthroughs. You should have made a lot of breakthroughs too." "No, you are." Suddenly, Sui felt the aura on Su Xiaoshuai's body. It was as if he had seen a ghost. Originally, Sui had always found it difficult to pry into Su Xiaoshuai's aura. He had no idea what Su Xiaoshuai's cultivation level was. However, at this moment, Sui could clearly feel the aura of Su Xiaoshuai's cultivation level. He could not help but feel dumbfounded. 9th level demonic void stage. You have reached the 9th level demonic void stage. Suyi's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. At this moment, Sui could clearly sense from little handsome Su's aura that he had yet to fully conceal. It was at the ninth level of the demonic void stage, or even the peak of the ninth level of the demonic void stage. It seemed like he was only half a step away from the demonic monarch stage. It seems so. I'm still too weak. I haven't even reached the demon emperor stage. Su Xiaoshui was very regretful. Ku. Su, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Gulping. How long? It was only a short time. How? How? Was he going to let others? Even the most legendary genius of the human race, a rare genius that only appeared once in 1,000 or 10,000 years, would be instantly turned into dregs in front of Su Xiaoshui. Unfair. Sui felt very unfair. He had cultivated bitterly for so long. With the Origin Supreme technique and the mysterious space, he had worked himself to death and narrowly escaped death many times. Coupled with the benefits of the Golden Dragon's blood essence and soul of the Golden Dragon this time, he had barely reached the Origin Void stage. Thinking of Su Xiaoshui, he felt that he had been ruthlessly attacked. This little bird was like a cheat. Could this be why the divine bird phoenix was so freakish? If others knew what he was thinking at this moment, they would also vomit blood. Even if the 3 years of exile in the wild demon forest were included, Suyi's cultivation time was only 5 or 6 years, and he had already reached the Origin Void stage. The Origin Void stage. How many people could not step into it in their lifetime? Even the top disciples in the top forces like the One Mountain, 2 religions, 3 sects, and 4 groups were all prepared to cultivate since they were in their mother's womb. How could they step into the Origin Void stage when they were the same age as Su-yi? This place is about to be closed. There are many living creatures outside. They should be here for treasures. Although they are insignificant creatures, you should be careful with your current cultivation. The 5-clawed golden dragon's voice was still deafening like the sound of heaven. Whoosh! Su-yi and Su Xiaoshui seemed to want to say something. At the very least, they wanted to thank it. However, before they could say anything, they were directly slapped away. There was a golden light fluctuation in front of them. A golden vortex appeared, and they were involuntarily sucked into it. Such a human. Even the top geniuses of the Archean era were not as good as this. There is also the bloodline of the Phoenix clan. What is going on? Could there be other secrets in this small world? When Su-yi and Su Xiaoshui were pushed out, the 5-clawed golden dragon appeared in this golden space. Its voice was faint and filled with doubt. Then, its huge body gradually faded away. This vast golden space also disappeared like an extinguished lamp. Boom! In the outside world, the earth shook and the mountains shook. Golden light shot into the sky. Awoo! Thousands of beasts roared and howled. Under the great pressure, they all bowed down in worship. But this time, everything disappeared very quickly. The terrifying aura shot into the sky and then disappeared. The cracked ravines and the cracked mountains miraculously merged directly. Everything returned to its original state. It was as if everything that had happened these days was an illusion. If it were not for the collapsed boulders and towering trees around, there was not even a trace of it. Swoosh, swoosh, one by one, powerful and obscure auras peeked over, one after another, as if they were searching for something. Swish! They were involuntarily sucked into the golden vortex.